Hi, my name is Efe, and as you can see, I love manga because I'm about to give you our entire Making Manga course for completely free. But there's a disclaimer. First thing, this course was made in late 2024 and early 2025. That means that there is going to be some information that is outdated, but more importantly, it talks about a website version which no longer exists. This means that when you hear parts that talk about using this part of our website or uploading something to this part of our website, you have to completely ignore those parts or use another website to get a similar result. I apologize. Secondly, update version 6 is now available for the mangadiet.com, which allows you to have your manga reviewed by us personally. If you have manga pages, illustrations, or written scripts that you would like us to review, then fill out the form on the critiques page and we will email you back with our thoughts on your work. Very simple. If this is your first time making manga, then I highly recommend that you watch this course all the way through first and then submit your manga to us for a review. We also have some additional tools that make it even easier for you to improve your manga, and you can find these by going to our shop page. Everything I've mentioned so far can be found by going to the mangadiet.com and registering for free. Now, without further ado, this is how to make a manga that matters. Enjoy.
I've been doing a lot of thinking lately about my career, about my future, and about the things that are important to me, such as my values and things like that. And these are some of the questions I asked myself when it came to continuing my career with manga. I don't have another choice. This is a question that I've been even asking myself a lot lately, but I don't think I've ever answered on video before. And that's, why do I make manga in the first place? Why not just do something else? Efe, what do you mean? You clearly have other choices. Didn't you graduate? Don't you have a lot of work experience, life experience, whatnot? That is true. But I've already tried all those other routes, and they've gotten me to where I don't want to be. Yes, I could get another corporate job or another job in sales or any of these other departments that I've worked in prior, but one thing that I learned while I was doing all of those things, besides focusing on the one thing I cared about, was just that there was something still missing, and that was manga for me. So when I say I don't have a choice, it's because I've exhausted every other option, and the only thing left for me at this point is to go in the direction of the thing that I care about the most. So that is why I choose manga. That unlocks a whole new set of questions, though. Isn't making one manga enough? Why do you have to continuously make it? Why don't you just scratch that little itch and then come back to working like a good boy now? For me, manga's my primary form of communication, you know? So my thoughts, as crazy as it sounds, it's sometimes easier for me to convey how I'm feeling and how I'm, what I think about certain things by just sharing manga. If I give you a manga recommendation, that's I'm trying to tell you something so specific because that's peak communication for me, you know? So in terms of why it's not just enough for me to make one manga, it's because I just have so much that I want to share, and the more that I read manga every single day, I just get more and more ideas of how can I convey this message to these people, So it's literally just an endless loop of things for me to talk about, things for me to share, and I am pretty introverted, in nature, so I do spend a lot of time thinking in my head. Why do I want to get better at making manga? If my primary form of communication is through manga and I'm not good at it, that means I'm not good at communicating. That's how it is for me in my head. So that's a giant motivating factor for me when it comes to reasons why I need to improve. And also just because my art sucks. It doesn't suck, but it's definitely not at the level that I want it to be, and not even close. And just reading more manga just exposes me more and more to the limitless possibilities that I can take my art to as long as I continue working on it. So yeah, I think that the more effort I put into getting better at making manga and even just working on my art as its own element. That just means the larger net of people I can reach with my work. If I'm drawing stick figures, it's easy for me to reach like the target audience of like little kids. Like if I'm drawing stuff targeted for them, you know, but I have messages that I want to share with all age groups, all demographics. Like I'm gonna make a shoujo manga eventually. I'm gonna make like every demographic you can think of. I want to make one for, so that I can say what I need to say for that, and I want to be heard. In order to do that, I cannot stay at this current level. What is my end goal as a manga artist? If we're taking fear out of the equation, and I close my eyes are literally closed right now. My genuine goal is to become the best in the world. And that's literal. I'm not talking about the best version of myself. I'm talking about I want to be the best manga artist ever. Like, if you know the manga artist Osamu Tezuka, like the one that's called the god of manga, like I want to be like him. Like I want to be that influential in the scene. And genuinely, I don't think if I get to a point where it's like, yeah, I'm just popular, but I'm not widely, not even so much respected, because I can't get the respect of every single person. But if I'm not in the conversation with the greatest of all time, then it doesn't even matter, honestly. Manga makes me so happy that I just want to be the best at it. Like, that's the easiest way to put it. Like, I know some people might think it's vain and, you know, it's arrogant or whatever word, like, but I just don't care. That's just the truth. My eyes are still literally closed. That's why this is so funny, because I'm literally saying it just how it is in my mind, but I just don't care. I want to be so much better than everyone else that it's not even funny. Like, I'm reading My Hero right now. This is not a spoiler, but at the beginning, like very beginning, right? Endeavor, number 2 hero. Him trying to surpass All Might. Like, bruh, I'm trying to be like All Might in the manga industry. I want to be so far and away from everyone else that it's like, oh, okay, yeah, he's actually that guy, you know? I think at that point, I'll be like, okay, I really did something, because it's not enough for me to just make a good manga, like a one-off, and then get on with my life, because manga is my life. There are many goals that once achieved, I will know, okay, I'm at that place that I want to be at, but I am planning to do this for the rest of my life. I'm 24 years old, going to be 25 this year, and I've definitely thought hard about this, probably more than a lot of people think. So me saying this is not just like half-assed. I'm ready to do whatever it takes to reach that goal, and I think you guys are going to find out just what lengths I'm willing to go to for that soon. Why did I choose manga instead of other mediums of expression? Why I chose manga is simply because anyone can read it. I can't read light novels, bro. All those words on the page, like sometimes that's just overwhelming for me. The silent manga audition, bro. You don't even have to use words. You just have to communicate through your artwork, through your manga. People still read it. They still understand. They still get the story. That is only something you can do with manga. Another reason is that with manga, you have to be good at everything. People that are good at making manga, I truly respect them because of how much you have to excel at a lot of areas. Like, this is not a job for everyone. I've said this in a lot of videos before, but guys, like, if you would prefer to just illustrate or do, you know, write stories, just stick to those. But manga is not for everyone, okay? Like, this is a lot of work. You have to be willing to sacrifice so many other things in your life for this because of how hard it is, okay? So do not disrespect the process. Do not disrespect what it takes to be good at this craft. So when people see me going hard in like language studies and like all these other little different things, that's because this is what it takes, especially as a foreigner. So yeah, I chose this because I really think that excelling in this says a lot about the type of person you are. versus choosing another medium. Like, yes, writing is hard. Like, everything else individually, like getting it to that professional level is hard, but to be able to do all of it and still communicate, still reach the viewers, you know, that package is very enticing to me, and I want to see how far I can push myself, just create the best manga that I can. What was the biggest hurdle I faced when deciding to pursue manga seriously or not? For me, the biggest hurdle was not knowing whether or not it was a legitimate career path. It's not a secret. I have a son. He's young. I'm young. And when it comes to making decisions, I can't just like make silly decisions anymore. Like, that stopped like 5 years ago. Like, I can't just make decisions for myself anymore. I have to make decisions that are reasonable, that put me in a position where I can support my family. And I didn't have enough information about my options when it came to manga. Like, I had a general, not even a general, because I'm pretty much a maniac when it comes to manga. So I had an above average understanding of how the industry worked, about how to succeed in the industry. But genuinely, I was just scared about pushing the limits all the way and seeing what comes from it. But ever since my trip to Japan in 2024, all of that fear just went away, and now it's just time to go. So these are some manga misconceptions. A lot of people that I've met, a lot of people I've spoken to have been deterred by these misconceptions. So I just wanted to quickly go over some of these, because these are also things that I, at one point in my life for sure, did not have the knowledge on, and it did deter me. And honestly, like, just knowing these things would have made me start a lot sooner. Manga is too hard. It seems too hard. Guys, this is just not true. Yes, things are hard. This is a fact. But specifically saying manga is too hard and whatnot, that is just a lack of experience. Now, what do I mean by that? Let me give you the example of like coding, bruh. I hate coding. I've been doing it a lot in the last like 3-4 months. Goodness gracious, I hate coding. But I complained a lot about how difficult it is, but for someone who's experienced in coding, the problems that I was dealing with is easy for them, and that's just how it is. Anything that you think is too difficult, it really just means that you have a lack of knowledge about that topic. One thing could be hard for someone, easy for someone else. If you think that it's too hard, you might just not be willing to do what it takes. That is the truth. You saying that manga is hard, that is just an excuse. Because if you wanted it enough, you would do it. Manga takes too long. Again, this is just a lack of knowledge. Because there's all different types of manga. There's Yonkoma, which is 4-panel manga. There's Instagram manga. There's 2-page manga, weekly, monthly. Like, there's all different types of manga that you can create. So just a lack of knowledge is pretty much the one thing that will hold you back from achieving what you want to achieve in the manga industry. All the stuff that you hear online about, like, oh my gosh, the manga schedule is so crazy, and like, everyone, you should never work in these conditions, bro. Like, why are they still working in those conditions then, bro? If it's that crazy, like, bruh, some things work for other people and they don't work for other people. Like, hopefully that made sense. It was kind of a tongue twister. Hirohiko Araki, he's monthly serialized. That means it takes him 1 month to complete a chapter. Like, not everyone does weekly Shonen Jump, like Jujutsu Kaisen, blah, blah. Like, not everyone does that. That's just, you know what I mean? So, get educated, bruh, before you start making these assumptions about the industry. Because, like, that's like me saying that doctors work hard hours. Don't become a doctor. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, and I guess it is biased, but I just hate when people are just like just shitting on the manga industry and stuff, because it's like, you guys just don't know what you're talking about. The next misconception: every idea is taken. Yeah, true, except for the one that you have. What do I mean? Think about it. Everyone makes the same YouTube videos. The same how to draw a head, Loomis method, blah, blah. But you watch certain videos but not other ones. Why is that? Because of the person that made it. So someone can make the same exact idea as someone else, say it their way, and only people that mess with that person will resonate with that video. Every idea has already been taken, so we have to just get that out the way. And now it's just about who made it, like whose version of it do you like, and it's usually whoever you resonate with the most. So some people who relate to me probably like my videos more than if someone else said the exact same thing. That's just how it works. That's why, like, your parents could give you advice on something, but if you hear it from your friend instead, you will actually take the advice versus from your parent, because it's just like, it's just proximity, who you relate to the most. So when it comes to every idea being taken, that is just holding you back, because bruh, like, you would be surprised, like, when you start doing things your way, you're like, damn, no ideas are taken. What is everyone doing? That's what the world starts to look like. So don't let that hold you back. I'm not qualified or ready to make manga. Facts. You'll never be ready. You'll never be ready to make manga. Stick to the deadlines that you're given. That's literally it. It's an artistic field, so you can make tweaks to your manga unlimited times, and it will never be ready. It's mandatory to have cutoff times for every single thing. Otherwise, you will be working on it forever. That is it. So you're never going to be ready. Just start now, because you should have started yesterday. Manga artists get paid little money. You guys talking about, like, oh, this person gets paid this much yen per, like, this person gets paid this much per page and whatnot. Like, when we start putting money into the situation, it's just like, why has that not deterred people from making manga if the pay is that low? Let me tell you the answer. It's because it's all relative. Some people don't need $30, $40, $50, $60, $100 an hour. Like, some people don't need that for the type of life they want to live. People that are pro manga artists, like, they live, for the most part, relatively modest lives, because they're not concerned about a lot of these material things and, like, these things that require a lot of money. So for example, let's say you make $15 an hour. Bruh, if you only spend, like, the amount of, like, let's say $9 an hour in a month, like, for your expenses, then that's just excess at that point. That's just literally how it works. That's how cost of living works, is that if you make more than it takes for you to live, then you have surplus. My hesitation towards starting it wasn't about the money, because that wasn't really a concern for me ever. I live a pretty, like, standard. I don't really care about things that are not manga. So that wasn't a deterrent for me. But for you, like, if money is the reason you're not making manga, then I don't know what to tell you, bro. Go work at McDonald's then. The level of entry is too high. No, it's not. The barrier of entry to making manga, like, to being a professional, is just completion of work. Because most of us are still here editing, still working on the same manga, the same, oh my goodness, the same, like, 10, 15 page manga. Been working on it for a year plus. That's ridiculous. Like, you should never be working, never, ever should you work on a manga that long, ever. There's never a situation where that should happen. Okay? Deadlines. Okay? That is it. People that adhere to their deadlines, those are professionals. That is it. When I was in Japan, one of the pro manga artists I was talking to told me that the average person takes about 3 months to finish a one-shot, bruh. A one-shot of, like, 17 pages. Like, not even like a 30, 50, 60, 70 page one-shot. I'm talking about a 17 page one shot, 3 months. That is absurd. Like, I could do that in a week. I'm not even joking. I made one in a month for that video, and I wasted most of that month. So, man, the bar of entry is not as high as you think it is. It's just the people that actually complete their work, actually make manga, those are the ones that actually make it. Literally. And the last misconception that I want to talk about is that there's no place for me. There's only place for, like, people that are like, oh, I want to make the next Naruto, like Shonen Jump and all that. Like, that was a misconception I genuinely had, and it quickly just went away when I just read more manga, because I was just like, wow, there's really just demographics for everything, like fantasy, sci-fi, like They got BL. They got like shoujo, shonen, seinen, josei. Like all these, like there's a place for everyone, bro. I've read manga from every demographic at this point, and it's just like anyone can make a name for themselves. Anyone can get their story out there and get it read. I don't know how I let that block me from getting started, because it's like, man, I wish I just realized that. Like, I still have a place. There's still a spot for me as long as I make something, you know? So I'm glad that I'm finally starting to take those steps and worked on my professional career. But the purpose of this video is about you, not about me. So why should you make manga? And to be honest, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why you should make manga. Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe this video will be the deterrent for you. And that's a good thing. If it is that thing that turns you away and turns you towards something more suited for you, I want that for you. But if this is the thing that cleared some of the air for you and let you connect with someone on an equal level with you to see like, okay, these are the things that he's thinking about, I'm glad that it did that for you as well. So think about why you're here, because no field is secure. Nothing is guaranteed. So you might as well just pick what you want to do, what you like, and just push that to the edge. That is the mindset I'm in right now. And if you don't know what you're getting into with manga at a basic level, bruh, you write stories, you illustrate them, and people read them. If that is interesting to you in any capacity, then you are in the right place here at ManDIET. Now, what is the Manga Diet? This is a platform that I created that will help you make manga that matters most to you. Manga that matters is manga that is read and enjoyed by the readers. Because, yes, you can make a manga today, right now, in like 10 minutes if you wanted to. But if no one reads it, if no one likes it, it doesn't matter. Because at that point, you're just writing a story for yourself. You're just doing it for yourself. But you already know the story, so what's the point? That's the kind of manga that you will create on this platform. Manga that matters to you and to the reader. In this upcoming course specifically, I will tell you the easiest and quickest ways to make a manga that readers love, get reviews and readers right now, how to easily identify weaknesses in your manga, how to make a better manga than your last manga, guaranteed, how to grow your audience so you can reach more readers with your new manga, and then finally how to stay consistent without burning out. I put a lot of effort into making these the best possible tutorials for you guys that I could come up with. That's why I've spent so long away from YouTube, is because I've been working on this for you guys. So check these out, because man, if you really want to make manga that people love, that people then you gotta check this out. I'm not joking. This is the course that I wish I had when I started, because now that I'm very clear about why I'm here, what I want to achieve, then now I just have to follow the steps to get there. Now, how do you access this course? Easy. Go to the mangadiet.com. As you can see on screen, press the start button, and then let's get started. Alright guys, this is the first video of the course. Now, by the end of this video, you will be able to make an enjoyable manga as fast as possible, okay? So, first thing we have to go over is what makes a manga enjoyable. The first thing is a complete story. A complete story is a story that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Very simple. Easy to read panels. If it's easy to read, people will read it. If it's difficult to read, people will not read it. Art. This is the method of conveying the story. This is what separates manga from other mediums. So as long as you have all three of these things, you can make an enjoyable manga. Very simple. Now, if you are on the mangadiet.com, we have a practice section, and it has the fundamentals there. There is a video called The Fundamentals of Making Manga. This video may or may not be out by the time you're watching this course, but check back frequently to make sure that you get all the information, because the fundamentals are important when it comes to making manga. But don't worry, because even if you don't watch that video, you can still get all the information necessary for this step by watching this video. So now that we know what an enjoyable manga is, we're going to talk about how to make an enjoyable manga in order, step by step. First thing we have to go over is, why does manga seem so difficult? It should be simple, right? As long as I have a complete story, easy to read panels, and art, my manga should be enjoyable. So why is it so complicated? Why is there like all these things like screen tones and like, text and all these other elements? Where do these come into play when it comes to making an enjoyable manga? This is the chart that I want you to look at. So manga at a bare minimum is just stories, panels, and art, right? As long as you have those three things, it's a manga. But the difference between what it takes to make your first manga and make a professional level manga is the list that you see here. So yes, at a basic level, it is still your stories, your panels, your art, but then you get into more advanced topics such as clickbaiting is what I call it. Visual library, title and naming skills, print upload knowledge skills, composition, planning, tools, perspective, character design, backgrounds, text, light and shadow, line art, screen tones, illustration, speed, and even more, right? This is why it seems complicated, is because you go into manga thinking about all of the elements at once. You shy too far away from what's fundamental. The fundamental skills of manga are story, panels, art. Important elements of manga are stories, panel, art, composition, and character design. Those are the 5. And those are what we touch upon in the fundamentals of manga video. Now, what you choose to prioritize is up to you. Because if you're already at the stage where you have a story, you've drawn panels, and you've put artwork in them, the other elements, you choose how much effort you want to put into them. For example, some people like drawing backgrounds. Okay, so backgrounds number 13. Some people might put extra detail into their backgrounds because that is just what they enjoy, or it's what's necessary for their manga. You might not have to do that though. So that's where you come into play. I want you to look at this example of My Hero Academia. You just choose what elements you care about and ignore the rest. Once you get to the level where you're a professional, you want to have an understanding of how to do every single element. But when it comes to making your first manga, or just prioritizing making an enjoyable manga, all you need to do is focus on, again, stories, the panels that they go in, and the art for them. So now that you understand that, I'm going to teach you how to write a manga story. The first thing when it comes to writing a manga story is how you generate your ideas. Now, there are countless ways to do this, but if we want to think of the easiest ways to get more ideas for making manga, it's just by reading more manga. Now, I know that sounds simple, but that's because it is simple. Don't try and make it too hard for yourself. The biggest advice I could give to you when it comes to generating ideas, not just for stories, but ideas in general, is that you have to give yourself a box. Like, some people think that when there's freedom, that it's actually better. But once there's too many options, that's when people start getting confused. That's when people start procrastinating. I'm just speaking from my own experience here. So reading manga does give you more ideas. So does having extra life experience, Someone who's in their 30s is going to have more story ideas than someone who's 15, for example. Most of the time, at least. That's just based off of, factors like how much they do in their life, things like that. So keep that in mind. And the third element I want to touch on is changing one element to make a new idea. Now, what do I mean by that? Every idea is just a culmination of ideas prior. Or it's the same idea and it's one thing changed about it. I'll give you an example. Let's use the manga That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. You could make a whole different manga just saying that time I got reincarnated as a shoe. Now, I know it sounds silly, but that's a whole different story now that you're seeing in your mind. A whole different story, a whole different set of problems. All you have to do is change one element. What people typically do is find a manga story that you like, or any story that you like. It doesn't even have to be manga. And just change one element of it. It's a completely different story now. Number 2, the goal and purpose of the story. If you define what the purpose is of the story, then people will read it. Because a question that you never want your readers to ask is, why am I reading this? What am I gaining from this? Okay? One Piece, most popular manga of all time at this point. The goal is to become the Pirate King, to get the One Piece. We know that. It was defined early, and that's what people are sticking around for. Things come along the way, but as long as the goal is defined and people know why they're here, they will stay. So make sure that you have a goal defined for your manga. So that time I got reincarnated as a shoe, the goal is to get my original body back. Number 3, beginning, middle, end. Now this ties into the goal point. If you have a beginning, a middle, and an end to your story is complete. This prevents you from getting cliffhangers and people asking too many questions about your manga when it's finished. The easiest way to do this is come up with an end point, the goal first, and then the starting point, the beginning, and then put whatever you want in the middle as long as it takes you to the goal. That time I got reincarnated as a shoe, the goal is to get my body back. Then the beginning is I got reincarnated as a shoe because I tripped on the stairs or something. And throughout the middle, it's me getting transferred from different shoe stores to other shoe stores until I get my original body back. That's a complete story. Number 4, turn your story idea into a synopsis. Now, this is an exercise that I like to do, and it's just now that I have my beginning, middle, end set, try and summarize it in 1 to 2 sentences. This makes it easy for you to explain what your story is about as quickly as possible, and readers will be able to understand what they're getting into before they get in. Example, that time I got reincarnated as a shoe. A synopsis: a young man named F.A. nonchalantly purchases the wrong shoe size one day after being hit by a bus leaving the shoe store. His one regret is that he didn't buy the right pair of shoes. He wakes up the next day, not at the gates of heaven, but at the gates of Foot Locker. He is now a shoe. Yeah, it sounds silly, but that's all it takes. As long as you can summarize it very quickly in a synopsis, you have a complete story and you can tell at a glance whether or not it's enjoyable. Number 5, determining your page count. Now that you have your synopsis, you have to choose before you start how many pages you want it to be and stick to that. Now, typically, if you're just starting out making manga, stick to 2 pages to 5 pages max. And I'll touch more on why it has to be that length, but always start between 2 to 5 pages if you are inexperienced, or even if you are experienced but you want to get true practice in. It cannot be longer than 5 pages. If you are very experienced, 17 pages. No more than 17 pages no matter what, ever. We will touch more on that in the 5th video in this series, so stay tuned for that. Next, how to choose your panels. Same thing as before. The more manga you read, the more ideas you have. There's no way that you know what panels are possible and what to use in certain scenarios if you've never seen them before. That experience comes from reading alone. So the easiest thing you can do for yourself right now is get any manga that you enjoy, or even if you don't read manga often, just pick up one and skim through it. Look at what panels they chose and think about why they chose them. Number 2, your panels must support the content. This is the most important part, so really lock in. If you do not need to make a big panel, do not make a big panel. It all depends on what the content of your story is. That's why we learn how to make the story first. If your story requires something funny, you might want to make an extra small panel. But the decision-making process behind choosing your panels is all dependent on your story. So now that you know that your panels must support the content, number 3 is the basics of paneling, which are just the guidelines and general rules to follow when making panels. First things first, manga must be read from right to left. Here is an example of right to left. Here is an example of left to right. Traditional Japanese manga, which is what I teach, is right to left. So I would stick to that format. Number 2, manga is read from top to bottom. So not only do we read right to left, we also read top to bottom. Just like you're reading a book, but in reverse orientation. Okay? The third thing you want to keep in mind when paneling is that the bigger the panel, the more important the scene is. So let's say you're making a manga about 2 high schoolers that are dating each other, right? Like a typical shoujo manga, right? If it's an important scene, like the couple kissing, you make that panel big to show this is a big thing. Okay? You might make them walking in the hallway a small panel because it's not as important. Okay? Unless they're walking to their way. You can see this play out in every single manga. Go check one for yourself. The bigger the panel, the more important they are. Again, this will also be fleshed out in the 5th video in this series. Now you know how to write a story, choose your panels. How do I draw a manga, FA? We'll touch on that now. The first most important thing you need to understand when it comes to drawing manga is you only have to do what's necessary. The purpose of art for manga is to help storytell. That is why some people draw more intensely than others. Some stories do not require that much effort, do not require that much detail. All the decisions you make stem from the core of your story. So make sure you only do what is necessary in each panel. Okay? How do I generate ideas? Same thing, guys. Guess what? Read manga. If there's one important lesson I want you to take away from this entire course on how to get better at any aspect relating to manga, it is just reading manga. I made a video on my YouTube channel called How to Improve Without Drawing, and it's reading. There is a law called the law of specificity, and it basically states that doing the thing that you want to do is how you get more experience in it. It might sound self-explanatory, but I've struggled with this in the past, doing things not relating to the specific area that I want to be good at, such as I've practiced coloring before and making illustrations and things like that before making manga, and that just wasted a lot of time. Sure, you can still use the skills later, because you know how what they say, all experience is still experience, but you would make faster progress in the endeavor that you are interested in if you just focus on that area. So that's why I spend more time reading manga currently than I do making it. And you might think that's a bad split, like, oh, maybe you should be drawing it more, but when it comes time to draw, I have unlimited options of things to choose from. That's just from reading. Okay? So there is a direct one-to-one correlation between how enjoyable your manga is and how much manga you've read yourself. And it shows. I'm telling you guys, I read so much manga. I can tell from a glance looking at anyone's manga how much they read. Okay? And quickly, the last point I want to touch on when it comes to drawing manga is how to improve. The single best way to improve your manga art skills is, guess what? No, not reading. Good guess, you over there. But no, it's copying. Copy the manga that you like. Copy the art. When I was in Japan, that is the most common thing I heard from every manga artist I spoke to there. I spoke to a lot of manga artists, guys. Like, it's no joke. I really spoke to a lot of people, and everyone said the exact same thing. Everyone did it. Every professional did it. That's how they got to where they are right now. Don't try and use another method to get around it. The best way to do it is specifically copy the manga art of artists that you admire. So if you like Masashi Kishimoto, copy the way he draws eyes. Just copy. That is it. That is the most recommended advice for a reason, because it works. I'm telling you guys this. I only want you guys to know what works. I hope that the ideas that I share to you guys in this course come off as simple, because it really is simple. Okay? Don't make it harder for yourself than it needs to be. The reason why you've heard this advice so much is because this is what works. I could tell you guys a prettier answer and make it seem like, yeah, if you want to learn, then make sure you follow this protocol and do all these other hula hoops. But the goal, like I said at the beginning, is to make an enjoyable manga as fast as possible. And the easiest way to do that, write your story, beginning, middle, end, turn it into a synopsis, determine that page count, choose what panels you want to use, and then draw what's necessary in the panels to portray the story. That is the easiest and fastest way to do it. Make sure you prioritize the story, because that, if your story is enjoyable, your art can be terrible. I'm telling you right now. If the story is good enough, it will pick up for itself because that's the foundation. So now I want to talk about the actionable steps. These are things that I want you to do. As long as you do these, you will take what I've shared with you in this video and actually use it in a real life scenario and test it out for yourself. So your homework, quote unquote, for this first video is to make a 2-page manga. Now, I mentioned earlier you can make 2 to 5 pages. Start with 2 if that's more comfortable for you, but 5 pages max. I want you to make a 2 to 5 page manga only sketched. So no inking. If you're more advanced, you know what inking is. Do not ink. Make sure it's 2 to 5 pages max, and I only want you to sketch the entire thing. Entire thing sketched only. We will touch more on this later. Here is an example of me doing it when I first started making manga, so that you know that I really did this to get to where I'm at right now. And in the next video, we will talk about how to get people to read your manga. Make sure you do the homework though. Welcome guys to video 2. Good job on finishing that first video. By now you should have your 2 to 5 page manga completed. And now I'm going to teach you how to get readers for your manga as easily and as fast as possible. Now if you're on the mangadiet.com, you should see a share page and there should be a drop down for ManDIET mangaka. Click on that. This is the platform that I created for submitting manga public for everyone to read that comes to the website. I wanted to help solve the issue of getting people to read your manga by creating this platform, because that is something I have seen in my own community and in my own experience. I've seen how hard it is to get people to read your work at any stage, just because there's so many options out there. There's all different types of stuff on social media. So I think this is a good way to bridge the gap. Now, if you scroll down on the website, you will see the submission rules as long as you're subscribed. If you can't even see this video if you're not subscribed. So if you're seeing this video and you're not subscribed, I've got to make a change. But make sure you check out these submission rules before you submit, because you might not qualify to submit. Now, the easiest way to guarantee that you get reviews for your manga is by sending out this rubric that I made personally for you guys to send along with your manga. Now you can download this rubric at the bottom of this video or in the resources page, which might not be available at the time you're seeing this video, but I have it up right now so you guys can see what it looks like. Now I structured this rubric as simply as possible so that when you send it out to whoever you are going to send it to, they can answer quickly. They do not feel burdened when answering these questions, because that's another thing, is that from my own experience, bro, even if people have opinions of your manga, they won't even share it with you. And I don't know if that's just an artist thing that we keep doing in this community, but we got to change that. So I think if we have specific questions that we want answered when we send people our manga, then we will get specific feedback that will help us in the future. To download this, you can get it from the Discord below this video or the resources page, which might not be available when this video goes out. But as you can see, this rubric covers the story, the characters, art and visuals, overall enjoyment, strengths, weaknesses, and additional comments. They don't even have to answer every question. The purpose is that they have things to think about when they're reading your story. This is important if you want to improve. So make sure you download this, then we'll get on to the next step. Now, FA, no way you're going to teach us how to get readers without mentioning social media. Yeah, you're right. There is no way. If you didn't know this about me, guys, I hate social media. Okay? I'm using it because it's the easiest way to reach a large mass of people, as you can see, right? But the excuse of, I don't like social media, but I also want to have people read my stuff, like, that's an oxymoron, guys. Like, you have to do what it takes. You don't have to put yourself out there and do a lot of the things that you don't like, that you see people do on social media, which is also what I do not do. But if you're going to play the game, you might as well win. So here's a tier list of social media platforms I made in terms of getting new readers for your manga. I'm going to overview what I have on the tier list, and then I'll explain it all at once, because it is simple. Platforms that might work when it comes to getting new readers: YouTube and TikTok. Platforms that are an okay idea: Instagram and Twitter, or X. Platforms that are a good idea: Pixiv, Manga Plus Creators. And then Everything else, don't even bother. That's what I would say. But FA, these are just good ideas. Like, what's the best idea in your opinion for getting new readers for my manga? Well, given the fact that we want to send a rubric out to, the best idea is Discord. Now, briefly to touch upon what earned certain platforms and certain rankings, it's simply because for YouTube and TikTok, people open YouTube and TikTok not to read manga. That is not the primary source of people getting on there. There are hundreds of billions of other things that people do on those platforms. Manga is one of the last for most people, okay? Instagram and Twitter. Now, a lot of manga artists and artists in general do have these platforms. So like I said, it's an okay idea for you to post on here. But if you are looking to get new readers, this is still just an okay idea. Okay? What makes things a good idea, like Pixiv and Manga Plus creators, is the purpose of the platform. If you don't know what Pixiv is, it's basically like Instagram, but for illustrators and manga artists. And they use it in Japan. Manga Plus creators, same thing, kind of, but it's just manga, and it's for international audiences. Okay? The reason why these are a good idea, like I said, people open these things looking to read manga. So if you have manga on there, you have a higher chance of getting it. Now that leads to Discord. Why is Discord the best idea? You can directly communicate with large amounts of people, which leads to the next step in how to easily get readers. And that is joining the ManDIET Discord. If you head to the community page, which is on the share section of the website, you will see our official Discord is listed there alongside other Discords. I highly recommend that you read everything listed on the community page before you make that decision, because I genuinely want you to get readers. But the official Discord is your safest bet to find other people doing the same exact thing as you. So they're going to be the most likely to help you with that specific thing. Does that make sense? Some of the best critiques I've ever gotten, like reviews for my manga and things like that, have come from friends that I have on Discord. So make sure you check out some of the improved communities we have, check out our own Discord, and check out how to find your own or how to create your own, because those are other methods. But since I already made it for you and I got everything set up, you might as well just join the rest of us, bruh. Because I'll be in there. And I don't mind if you send me your manga alongside the rubric. If you're really serious about this, I will help you. Next way to get readers and reviewers is by entering contests. Now, this is not an easy method per se, but people do look through contest entries. So this is a quick overview of contests. The advantages of entering a contest are simple. Potential prizes, such as money, exposure to your manga, which is the most important one for this current step. And that's pretty much it, honestly. People will with certainty read your manga because the judges will. Touching on the judges a bit though, they are the main disadvantage of joining a contest, because this is what you guys have to know about contests. And I hope that this sticks with you when you think about making a contest entry in the future. Contests are great, but when it comes to judging, every judge has their preferences. I will say that again. Every judge has their preferences. If there is a judge on the panel that loves shoujo manga, right? Like manga aimed for, younger girls, right? And they are judging your manga and your manga has no elements that resemble shoujo manga, you have a higher chance of them not liking your manga. That is how preference works. I'm not saying it's like that for everyone, but I am saying that there is no fair way to judge, because opinion comes in at some point. So keep that in mind. If you've lost contests before in the past, this is something you really have to keep in mind. Take the critiques you get from a contest seriously, but do not take them to heart. Do you understand? Because like I said, not everyone has the same preferences as you. So I quickly wanted to drill that into your head right now, because this will save you a lot of headaches in the future, and it will make contests more fun, because now you're just seeing, oh, do these people resonate with what I have to show, instead of, I suck because my contest entry keeps on. You know what I'm saying? That's not it. But the higher you place in the contest, the more people that will read your manga. So that's why it's a good idea to always enter any contest, like just because. Easy. Now you have an understanding of the easiest way to get readers and reviews for your manga right now. Your actionable step for this video / homework is get 3 rubric completions. So the downloadable rubric that you got from the Discord, the resources, or on the webpage that you're watching this video from, you need 3 people to finish it before you move on to the next video. You must. And if you have to, you can just ask me, because I might do it for you. I'm not gonna lie. Another way that you can get reviews is just adding the rubric to the last page of your manga. Especially if you're digital, this is going to be very easy. Add it to the last page. People will see it automatically. If you post on Instagram and you have the rubric on the last page, someone will comment. More likely than not. So yes, 3 completions. Are you telling me you can't get 3 people to answer a questionnaire about a manga? I don't think so. I don't think so, bruh. It's very simple. Discord is an easy way to do it. That is what I recommend. Okay, so one last time. Now you have your 2 to 5 page manga completed. You have your rubric downloaded. You've got a place where you are going to share the rubric and your manga, which is most likely going to be Discord if you want the best chance. You have done all 3 of those steps. Now you're ready to use the reviews that you've gained from your readers to identify weaknesses in your manga. And when you're ready for that step, head to the next video. Make sure you do everything I said. I'm going to tell you guys this every video. So listen. If you truly want to see the results, you're already here because you clearly want results in some capacity. Do the steps that I've given you and you will guaranteed get the results I'm explaining. Okay? This is why I'm at where I'm at right now. Is because this is what I did, and I'm trying to explain it to you the easiest way possible. I want you guys to get people to read your manga, because if they don't, what's the motto, FA? Say the motto. It doesn't matter. We make manga that matters here. If you want your manga to matter, you must get it in the hands of the readers. If I was you and you really want readers, post on every social media platform there is. Because there's social media platforms I didn't even put on this list that people post manga on and get readers from. But these are what I would start with. But yes, I just wanted to leave you guys with that. This works if you work it. So make sure you get to work before you get to the next part of this video. I'm truly telling you, don't just watch them. Don't just watch the videos, bro. Like I used to do that too. Like, yeah, I'll just watch the videos and I'll do something later. Get no results. Do it right now. That is why you're here. Okay, see you next video. Welcome guys to video number 3 in this course of how to make a readable and enjoyable manga. By the end of this video, you will be able to identify weaknesses in your manga and take inventory of it so that you can prepare for your next manga. I'm telling you, this works. I do this. So FA, how do I do it? How do I easily identify weaknesses in my manga? Because I'm struggling. I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong. I keep posting. I feel like my art is good and like I've been writing stories. I've been practicing Kisho Tenketsu and all that stuff. But like, why aren't people reading? Like, people are not enjoying the manga. Why? How do I figure this out for myself? You gotta read more manga, man. FA, oh my goodness, bro. Like, can you give us other advice than just read manga? Can you please? Like, you're saying it like reading manga is gonna solve all my problems, because it is. It literally is, guys. I don't know. It literally is. I don't know what you thought would be the easiest way. I don't know what you thought the answer would be. How do you identify problems that you're having? You have to compare yourself to the ideal. FA, can you elaborate on that? Of course. Professional serialized manga, especially manga that's physical. You can read it digitally or whatever, but that has been published to a commercial audience. That is the ideal. That means that enough people liked it that they are willing to pay for it. Okay? That's where we want to end up, right? Manga's so good that people are willing to give us money to read it. Right? So if you are consistently consuming that content it's gonna start to become easy to see what they have that you do not have. And if you still struggle with that, even just by reading manga, then next is the side-by-side test. This is what I like to do, and I will show you now. Okay guys, so here is a live demonstration about what I mean. This is a manga page that I made a long time ago now at this point, and this is a pro manga page. You can pick any pro manga page to do this spot the difference test, but typically it's best for you to choose one that's similar to your genre. Now, Efe, what are the differences? Well, this is when it gets fun, because now it's a game. Oh, sound effects? Didn't have those. Yeah, maybe I should try adding some sound effects for movement, because the door flung open here. You know, I walked over to these steps with these speed lines. Ooh, maybe I could have used some of these gradients in the background to set the tone. Maybe right here, maybe even right here, to build up the tone, suspense. Okay. Ooh, I didn't even know you could make panels vertically like this. Huh. Maybe I could have put this panel on the side here. Who knows? Right? Oh, speech bubble that's a box? Didn't try that. Maybe I could have made him say something or think something. Maybe right in the middle here. Huh. Didn't think about that. Wow, I didn't even know you could use gradients like this, because it looks like this dude's in the shadows now. I could have done that instead of just a black screen here. This actually still looks fine. I don't know, bro. I'm just looking at his panel again. But you see what I mean, guys? Oh, man. Look at how they drew these desks. Easy, clean lines. I don't have those. Look at the door. It's crooked. I mean, this is my desk. Oh, I didn't even put anything on the vinyl records. You know what I mean? You can just see the difference between the work. This is a pro. This is an amateur. This is most likely you at the time of doing this, and that's okay. As long as you can put the ideal next to it, it's easy to see what you can take next time. Okay? Look at her hair. Highlights in it. Right? You can see the shadows, the lines on it. This dude just has black hair. Like, look at this. No one's hair looks like this, bruh. No one in existence has the bottom of their hair look like this. No one at all. Okay? So, oh, wait. Clothing folds like this? Huh. Yeah. Could have given him some shading, but it's just all white. I didn't even know how to shade at that point, though. But you get what I'm saying? Spot the difference. That's how it works. Next way that you can use manga to spot the differences between your work and a professional's is by using the SS channel in our Discord. Now, as you can see, I am in my public Discord for this video, because this is where I originally shared the idea. So it has my studies in it. But in this channel, you can see the manga screenshots, SS, posted by other people, including myself. I will post studies in here from time to time. And as you can see, this is where you can get reference from. This is where you can find out things that you never even knew. Like, okay, I absolutely adore when Q Hayashida uses paneling so creatively. This is a great and unorthodox way to convey process in motion. Boom. Check it out. Wow. Process in motion. I've never seen this before. Maybe I could have explained something similar to this with arrows. I didn't even know you could use arrows for panels. Huh. I'll write that down. You see what I mean, guys? And the more we post in here, the better it gets for everyone else. Like, see how much content there is? And when people explain what they found, it's easy for you to go through, huh? Let's say, for example, you wanted to make a maze. Oh, they found a maze. You go to it. Let's see. Ooh, crispy. Look at that. Whoa. And it's just a panel. This is actually so crazy. And I read Dorohedoro too. I do remember this actually. But look at this though. If you need to make a maze, this would be a good reference to use. But man, if I didn't, because this is what you were probably thinking. We're using the maze example. Before you made the maze, it's like, oh man, like, I don't know how to draw a maze. I'm gonna just draw like some zigzag, hoo-ha, right? But now that you see that someone else has done it and it looks professional, it looks like it works in manga, now you can use this to make the next maze, for example, right? Like if you had to redo your entire manga, this would be a reference to use for it. Hopefully that makes sense. Like boom, putting blur in the background, like the camera effect. Like there's just all types of stuff that you can find in this SS channel. So make sure you join the Discord. You probably have joined already. If you took that step in the last video, you're already here. So good job on doing that. But for those who haven't, make sure you get in here because this is just free content, free ideas, free help. SS in our Discord. All right, so now you know exactly what I mean by reading manga will help you identify your weaknesses. Next, we're going to use the critiques that you received from the last step by sending your rubric out to at least 3 people. You did do that, right? Because if you're watching this video and you haven't taken that actionable step, this is not going to help you. You want to be helped, right? You didn't just buy this course, join my Discord, and do all these things because you don't want help with this, right? Because I feel like that would not make much sense. So yeah, I'm talking to you because you did those steps. Good job. This is how to use those critiques to find places to improve in your next manga. Now, what you need to keep in mind when you receive critiques from other people is a concept of you versus the reader, okay? I mentioned this in the last step about contest. People have their own preferences. So how do you determine whether you should make a change to your manga or if it's just preference? The easy answer is majority rules. So if you sent your manga out to 3 people and all of them said, yeah, the anatomy of the characters looks weird, and you think the anatomy looked good, well, guess what? You're in the minority now, buddy. It might not feel the greatest, but this is how you make sure that it doesn't fly over your head what you need to work on. Do you understand? The more people that say it is one way versus you, those are readers that you can win over the next time as long as you make that adjustment. You understand? So if you fix your anatomy in your next manga and send it to them, they will have seen it before and after, and boom, you just got a supporter. That's kind of how it works. So don't block yourself from making progress, because a lot of the times the blind spots that you have in your work, only other people can see them. That is why editors exist. That is why readers submit surveys and feedback to the manga artist so that they can work on things that they cannot see. Because when you are working on something for long enough, you probably already know this if you draw, if you've worked on any tedious project before, at a certain point you can't see the whole thing anymore. Like you cannot look at your work objectively anymore. That is when you share it. That is why we set strict deadlines and we adhere to them if we want to become professionals. It has to get out of your hands and into the hands of others as fast as possible. So use those critiques. So I have my critiques. I know how to spot the differences using manga. What do I do with it though? You create the list. Okay? What is the list? The list is the list of improvement points you have for your next manga. These are things that you spotted from reading manga or using any of the things I mentioned earlier, like the critiques, or even just your own critiques, and making a list, a specific list of things that you will do in your next manga differently. How to choose what makes the list. This is very simple. This is the question I want you to ask yourself. If I get better at X, my manga will get better. If anything fits in that X slot, like for example, if I get better at backgrounds, my next manga will be better, then that is what makes the list, okay? The manga that I showed you in the side-by-side test demo, this is the list that I made after making that manga. It is a long list, and this was a mistake. So make sure that your list is only 5 max. Only 5 things can make the list max, because if you spend too much time trying to improve all these different aspects, you are going to take away from the easiest way to make improvements to your manga, which is just making more manga. So only pick 5 things max, the most important 5 things. And it will change. Sometimes you might be good at making hands this manga, next time you might need to do it again. But that's okay, because as long as you're producing work, you are making progress overall. That is what makes the most difference in the long term. Do you understand? So only 5 things can make the list. Again, take a look at my list for reference. The next step, which will guarantee that the weaknesses on your list get addressed in a manner that will let you improve, is by gathering references. Now, the platform that I personally use and I've seen recommended in the industry is PureRef. What you want to do is find up to 5 examples of what a good version of the thing you want to improve would look like. In order to demonstrate this, I will show you now. Now here we have PureRef. As you can see, once you download it, it's just a blank screen. This is basically what it looks like. You use the right click to move it around, right click once to see the list, but it's just a place for you to store references easily and organize them. Check this out. So let's say on my list, I wanted to work on male hands, okay? Specific male hands. Here I am on Pinterest. Ooh, this will work. You don't even have to save the image. Copy it, paste it in PureRef. Boom, you got a board now. You can adjust the size of it, organize it. Boom, 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 boom. Let me find another example. Ooh, this is some crispy shading. I can use this in my manga. Blam. Put it in here. Resize it. You can get up to, but not more than 5 references per point of improvement. So if you have 5 things on your improvement list for your next manga, you can only have up to 5 references for them. You want to have the least amount as possible because you want to not get overwhelmed. This is very important. There's a lot of good artwork out there. Look at how many different styles we see here, right? There's so many different ways to draw hands, for example. So many different ways to draw everything. Just pick the first 5. If you don't even want to do 5, pick 1 or 2, but you need references so you know, okay, my hands have to look like this in the next manga. Because even striving to make them look like this, I'm not saying it's going to look perfect, but you will guarantee have better looking hands, for example. One mistake that I made when I started making manga was using references that were not from other manga. Now, this is very specific because manga is a different style of art than others, right? So getting manga references would give you the biggest benefit to your manga. This is definitely a more tedious step because if you're reading your favorite manga and you're screenshotting like I do, then it's easy to figure out, okay, you have like a list of things that you can use, but that's what Pinterest is for. You know, you don't have to go through manga looking for references. You can just look for it online. Pinterest is pretty good. Google Images, all these places. Like, there's just an endless supply of things that you can use. But that can be overwhelming, which is why we only stick to 5 things max per section. One more time. 5 things max per section. Do not look at too many references. I'm even telling this to myself because I still get caught up and do it sometimes. But trust me, the easier you make this for yourself, the better time you will have. Please take my advice seriously on this. One last thing I wanted to touch upon when it comes to gathering references from other manga is that literally any 5 references will do. Like, you don't even have to pick ones that are your favorite because all the references that you find in manga are better than yours right now. This might not be true for a select few people in a select few areas. Like, some people might be better than hands than the manga that they're reading, sure. But one of us is serialized and is getting paid for their work. The other one is not. I think that's the majority of us, okay? So don't make this too hard. You should be trying to complete these steps as fast as possible. And now that you know how to identify all the weaknesses in your manga, here are some actionable steps for you to take to make sure that you identify all the weaknesses and get solutions to them. First, Get a list. Make the list. Okay? At least 1, but at most 5 improvements for your next manga. 2, gather at least, but at most, 5 references for each improvement area. Okay? We touched on this already, so I'm just reiterating it because I don't want you to leave this video forgetting. Okay? Rewatch this video if you have to, but this is very important. If you do not know where to improve, you will make the same manga over and over and over and over and over again. I've literally seen people make the same mistakes every time. Never stop to think about it. And that's happened to me too in other aspects of life. But I'm telling you guys these things in this order. The course is put in a specific order so that you understand why this is important before you can move on. Okay? I am not joking. Make sure you make those lists and get those references. And the last thing I want you to do is share manga references in the SS channel in the Discord. Put them in our Discord. Check out the ones that we have in there currently. And now that you know how to identify your weaknesses, the next video, which is going to be the longest video in this entire course, you will learn how to make a better manga than the last manga you made, guaranteed. Every manga element I've listed before will be fleshed out. This is the video I was talking about earlier in this course. This is the video that's going to require the most attention, effort, because this is how you can guarantee, I said, that the next manga you make is better than your last. So please make sure that you have completed all the prerequisite steps, because if you just skip to this video, if you just skip around, you will miss the full context. And guess what? You're going to come to me at the end of this course and be like, FA, my manga still sucks. It's not enjoyable. People are not reading it. And that's what I do not want for you. That's why I made it the way that I did. That's why I spent so long working on this. So make sure before you get to the next video that you have completed every step that I gave you. I planned this carefully just for you. I was thinking about all the stuff that you would need to know in order to make a manga that people would read and that they would enjoy. So before we dive in, this is the last time I'm going to say it. Forgive me. Complete every step and you will see results. That is it. All you have to do is complete the work. You will see results. Now let's get to it.
If you've learned something so far from watching this video, then I highly recommend that you go to our website, which has even more tools to help you improve. It was hard to find reputable people who are willing to give you feedback on your work. Now, all you have to do is go to themangadiet.com and submit your work using our short form. Very simple. Additionally, the Goodnight Pun Pun Manga Copy Pack is now available for purchase on the shop page. These packs come with exclusive details as well as downloadable templates to help you learn techniques from your favorite manga. It's insane. Now let's get back to your video.
Okay guys, welcome to the 5th video in this course on how to make a manga that is read and enjoyed by readers. This is the longest video in this course. By the end of this video, you will be able to guaranteed, 100% guaranteed, make a better manga than the last manga that you made. This is the easiest and fastest way to do it. I have tried everything. I'm just gonna go straight up and say it, right? I've tried everything, literally. So people who have seen my manga progression video from 2022, even though it was half a joke, the way that I progressed through my manga journey was very linear because I followed the things in this video. So sit up, listen closely, because by the end of this video, your next manga will be better than the last. So I split this video into 2 parts. There will be timestamps so that you know where to find information that you're looking for. You might have to rewatch this video because there's going to be so much information, but that's okay because I broke it up in a way that's hopefully digestible for you. Without further ado, let's get started. Part 1, using the list that you made and the critiques of others to make a better manga than your last. So, if you are on the mangadiet.com, you can head over to the practice section. Now, depending on when you see this video, the practice section is either on maintenance or completely fully functional, or somewhere in between. But the method of practice that I personally recommend for seeing linear improvements in your work is by doing what I call 100. Now, if you head over to our Discord, guess what? There's a channel called 100. This is where you can see how it works. You can watch the video on it, which is on my YouTube channel, on my public YouTube channel for everyone to see. And you can see my own progress with it in the past and in the future, current, whenever you're watching this video. You can see that and other people's as well. This is the practice method I personally recommend. I have tested it, as you can see. So I know that it works. I know that it is a large reason why I saw improvements in my art, and it is what I will be using in the future. So I recommend that. And another feature on the mangadiet.com, which is a big feature which will be continuously updated, is the Master Studies page. So if you go to the Mangaka Studies page, right, you can see Akira Toriyama. Depending on when you're watching this video, there's probably going to be a couple other ones up at this point. But using these Master Studies, you can learn how to copy the techniques of your favorite manga and of your favorite manga artist. This is massive because I already did the work for you studying. Now it's just going to the Master Studies, loading up the information, and then applying it to your own work. There's literally a section at the bottom of the page that says how to apply this to your manga. So if you do that, your manga will be better than the last one. Every time. Easy. So I just told you two things now. There's a method, a free practice. Like if you don't want to do traditional, I'm just making another manga, and you want to, free draw but also get better. There's that way. There is the Master Studies, which is a big resource that takes up most of the website on the mangadiet.com. And then the third part of practice, which is also in the exercises section on the website, but it's just copying. I mentioned this early on in the first video, I believe, but just copy artwork, manga artwork specifically, that you like, because that is what you are going to need when you're making your own manga. Next way to get guaranteed improvements: read a one-shot that's in the same genre of the manga you are trying to create. So if you like sci-fi, read a sci-fi one-shot. What's crucial about this step is you want to read it close to or before you start making your next manga. This is important because you will remember what you read and you'll be able to easily apply it to the manga that you are making. When I am making manga, I'm still reading manga in between. When I step away from my computer, stop drawing, I go to read, and I get new answers to problems that I was having. So first, practice using the website. Second, read a one-shot that's the same genre. And third, download rubric number 2. F.A., no freaking way. You made us another rubric to send out? Yes, I actually did. You can get this in the same spots. You can get this in the Discord, on this video page, and in the resources section. So let's have a look at rubric number 2. As you can see, the format of rubric number 2 is a little bit different. What we are looking to accomplish with rubric number 2 is having the reader specifically compare your first manga that you sent to them and your new manga. So only send this rubric out once you have finished your next manga, because these ask specific questions, as you can see. If you had to choose between this manga and my previous one, which would you submit for a contest? This is something that only they could answer if they read both. So do not skip to rubric number 2. If you haven't given them rubric number 1 with your first manga, then giving them this one with the second one. So now that you have rubric number 2, you're ready to make a new manga. When you make this new manga, make sure that it's the same exact page count as the first manga that you made, okay? Because this makes it easy to compare and contrast between the two. If you had more pages to work with, you have more room to work with, so it's not going to be the same. That's why I made a bunch of 2-page manga until I worked my way up in comfort zone to higher page counts, okay? Same page count manga, use the references that you gained from the previous video and the list to make the changes. Then you send the rubric out. People give you the feedback. And as long as you made the improvements, as long as you practiced, as long as you looked at the master studies, as long as you read a one-shot or even any manga in the same genre before you started working on your manga will be better. This is the easiest way to do it. Pick any of these three. Practice, read a one-shot, or use the critique list. If you do any of those three and then make a new manga, it's going to be better than your last. That is the easiest way to do it. Like I said, this video is split into 2 parts because part 1 is the easiest and fastest way to make a better manga. But part 2 is going to be me going in depth on every aspect of manga, and you have the freedom to choose which aspect you want to focus on in your next manga, and that is what will guarantee that it's better than your last. So if you want to see every aspect fleshed out, continue watching this video to the end. But if you already want to get to work making your next manga, go ahead. You know how to do it. Just make those changes, make a new manga, send it out with that second rubric. Another thing with that second rubric, you can just send it out unlimited times after this. Okay? So if you keep making manga, keep sending that same rubric out. Find new people, find new readers, new fans, supporters, whatnot. But you can send the same rubric out. That's how I designed it. You're welcome. Without further ado, part 2, let's get the rest of these manga skills. Alright guys, welcome to part 2. This is part 2 of how to easily make a manga better than your last one right now. Guaranteed. In part 2, we will be going over all of the skills about manga. I will explain some key elements that I want you to remember at the beginning. Then I will explain everything to you in order of how you should learn it, and then give you tips for each specific element to make sure that you leave this video having an understanding of every element of manga. So yes, this is going to be packed with information. We have timestamps so that you know where to click to if you want to figure out specific examples, specific information. But I highly, highly recommend you watch it in order first, and then you can go back to specific sections, because the way that it's ordered is in order of how you should learn it. So with that out the way, let's get started with part 2. So first things first, by this point, this is what we know about manga. That at a basic level, it is story, panels, and art. That is how you make a manga. As long as you have those things, you can make a manga. All of you know how to make a manga by this point, and by this point, you have made a manga by this point. But the thing about it is, this is what's left. You see? So we learned the first 3. Those are the prerequisites. But as you can see, we've got a long way to go before we become professionals. Okay? Professionals are able to use every single aspect from the list of 20 and incorporate it into every single one of their works. Okay? Now the trickiest part about learning manga is the following. This is the list that I showed you on the previous page, right? These are all the elements, right? But there's another list. FA, what the heck is that? It's the same exact list, but the order is different. Do you know why? Because one of these is for creation priority and the other one is for practice priority. If you are trying to create manga, this is the order you should prioritize. If you are trying to learn or practice manga, this is the order you should prioritize. I will explain it one more time. If you are getting into making manga, you want to focus on it in this order. So if you just want to make manga, all you need to do is make story, panels, art, you're done. If you want to improve it to the next level, the blue, then you learn clickbaiting, visual library, title naming, boom, 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 right? And if you want to get to the pro level, then you work on perspective, character design, boom, 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 speed last, okay? Now, if I was going to learn manga from the ground up, that is practice priority. The easiest way to explain this, speed is the last thing you should practice if you have not mastered everything else. Another way to look at it, you do not need to work on your visual library until you have learned how to clickbait. And clickbait is just a word that I use because if you watch YouTube videos or any content, like that's just a word easiest to describe what I mean by that. So, yes, even before you make the story, if you have a visual library and the ability to clickbait, your story will be better. So that is why this is the priority if you want to learn, and this is the priority that we will go through in this video as I teach you every element of manga in order for practice priority. Going through this video, I want you to pick one element and incorporate it into your manga. Like I said, at this point, we have the first 3 down, but I want you to pick one of these that you're interested in and incorporate it into your next manga. That will guarantee that it is better this time. Now, without further ado, let's get started with the first element, clickbaiting. That is knowing what is required to get them to read. Each demographic has its own rules. Okay, for example, shoujo manga, sparkly SFX. You don't see these sparkly SFX in other demographics like shonen, which is more comedy focused, right? Or seinen, which is more details and life lessons, right? That's because every demographic has its own rules. So knowing what is required to get them to read means knowing your demographic. If you are making an action manga that has comedy elements, you are targeting shonen. Shonen is younger boys. That is the category. Shoujo is younger girls. Seinen is adult boys. Josei is adult girls. Okay? Young boys are not into romance like young girls are. This is a fact. Just like young girls are not into action and comedy like young boys are. Deep life lessons are not enticing to younger audiences. Okay? So, if I was going to make a manga for a younger girl audience, I would make it centered around romance, and I would follow the rules of shoujo manga, such as the sparkly SFX, the big eyes, just the romance, bruh. Like, that's not really my thing, but you get what I'm saying. You have to follow the rules of the demographic in order to clickbait, okay? Because if I'm a young girl, I'm clicking on something that looks like it's made for me. And I'm into romance of the dreamy, tall, black-haired guy who's in love or whatever, bruh. That's enticing to them. But to a young boy who sees action, this is enticing to them. One Piece, bruh. And to adults, yeah, that life is not for you. Facts. And they're thinking, yeah, he's right, that life's not for me. That's how it works, guys. So, never cater to too many people, though. This right here is one of the most important things I have to instill on you early. If you've ever heard the advice, don't pick a niche, like just do whatever you want, like just make whatever you want. You can combine all these elements, like you can just combine all of them. Like put the sparkles with the comedy and the life lessons. Sure, you can do that. Facts. Facts! You're right, guys. But here's the thing. If you cater to too many people, you cater to nobody. That is why you have to make sure that you know exactly who you're speaking to. Because thing is, guys, most people like the same things. When you read manga like JJK, One Piece, Kaiju number 8, like all of these shonen manga, they have the same exact elements because they're targeting the same people. The same people will read the same stuff. Yes, people switch categories. I've read a shoujo before. Yes. But I mostly read seinen because I'm 24 years old. I'm an adult. And this stuff is enticing to me. I still read shonen because it's still enticing to me as a boy. So do not listen to people that say you can pick different demographics, blah, blah. You have to have a niche. You have to know who you're drawing for, because that makes it easy to make decisions. I'm not going to put a fight scene in a shoujo manga. I would put a fight scene in a seinen or a shonen manga, though. Does that make sense? You have to know your demographic in order to know what they like. And if you know what they like, you can clickbait for them. So, TLDR, choose a niche, make manga for them. Next is your visual library. Simply put, more experience equals more ideas. I touched on this earlier in part 2, in the second video, I believe. But your visual library is just your bag. It's how many ideas you can generate, how much experience you have. Okay? How do you get experience? How do you get a deeper bag? Reading manga. Haha! Yeah. Yeah. It's the same advice. Because this is the most important, this will give you the most value. I'm trying to tell you guys, bro. Like, bro, it's unbelievable to me how many people I see that don't read manga. Like, this is literally the ticket to making good manga, reading manga. Like, please read manga. Please. Because in manga, you get ideas. There is no way that you could come up with this panel if you've never seen it before. There is just no way. You've either seen this composition in a movie, in a play, or just something else, but you have to see it first. That's what experience is. That you were there, you've seen it before, now you can pull from it. There is no way you can make this panel without seeing it. No way. This is a combination of things that this artist has seen before. Okay? So, you can get experience from reading manga and from real life experience. Go outside, guys. Do social things. See new places if that's within your reach. If you're able to do so, see new places. It will only benefit you to get more experience. So TLDR, read more manga and do more activities outside. You can do stuff inside as well. There's manga about shut-ins and neats and stuff like that. And if that's what you want to draw, that is okay. But don't limit yourself. Next up, we have story. But Efe, didn't you already teach us how to write a manga story? Facts. Now we will dive into specific elements that will take your manga from the MVP level, so the basics, to the next level. The most important element when it comes to writing a story is that stories must have highs and lows to create tension. A high is like excitement, joy, love, things like that, victory. And lows are like defeat, despair, depression, all the sad stuff. Okay? You have to have both to make it meaningful. Here's an example. We've got Happy Tanjiro right here, right? If all of Demon Slayer was happy, it would be trash. But guess what? It's not. It has highs and lows. These are the same character. And that's what makes the happy stuff hit more. Is because we get out of a fight where people are losing their freaking lives and fighting for their, people are dying, right? And not coming back. So when they have a happy moment, it hits because we just got out of hell. That's literally... that's the easiest way to explain it. That is why... This is me saying a personal opinion here. So take it however you want it. But I am less inclined now to read manga where everyone wins. Everyone gets to go home at the end of the day. Like, that's kind of my impression when I read stuff like One Piece. Is that I know that, yeah... Luffy's just gonna win.
we're all just gonna win. We're all gonna go home at the end of the day. No one's gonna really die. Like, that's my impression of it. And I know it's long and I haven't read much of it, but that's just my overall impression. That's why I have to stress this point, is that you must have highs and lows to create tension. They must match. Okay? If it's super dark and depressing, completely, it will be too much. No one's gonna read it. But if it's dark and depressing, but it has moments of silly drawings, like Tanjiro blushing, and like the drawings in Demon Slayer are so silly. But if it has both, it creates that tension, and people love the story. Okay? TLDR, make your characters earn their happiness. Okay? You don't get to just smile like this if you didn't just come out of hell, bro. Because otherwise, I don't care. And the readers don't either. Next is title and naming. This is knowing how to name your stories and characters. This is very important, guys. Like I'm telling you, you're about to find out. The goal is to convey as much information as possible. The shorter, the better. The faster you can convey the information to the reader, the more likely they are to read. Check this out, for example. One Punch Man. My youth romantic comedy is wrong as I expected. And that time I got reincarnated. One of these is trash. And the other two are good. Damn, FA. Threw me for a loop there because I thought that these both sucked. But check this out. Yes, if you said the one in the middle, that one is bad. Now, why is that? Because from reading the title of this, you know what it's about. From reading the title of this, you know what it's about. From reading the title of this, you don't know what it's about. This is the story of One Punch Man. This is the story of that time I got reincarnated as a slime. Just off of that alone, the reader can make the decision if they want to know about One Punch Man, about that time you got reincarnated. Okay? People think this is a bad title, but literally, this is so easy to explain to anyone. Now we're going to do that same test. This is the story of my youth romantic comedy is wrong as I expected. Does that even make sense? No. If it does not fit that mold that I just gave you, it's probably a bad title. I'm just keeping it 100 with you guys. I don't want you to make bad decisions. If we really want to see progress, make sure that it follows that parameter. Okay? The last manga I made at the time of this video is called The Hourglass Experiment. This is the story of the Hourglass Experiment. Easy. I got the information out quickly. Easy. Here's another thing. If this was shorter, right? Because you might be thinking, let's just make this shorter. If it was reincarnated as a slime. This is the story of reincarnated as a slime. It still kind of works. But that time I got reincarnated lets us know that it was a specific time. Okay? You see what I mean? Convey information as fast as possible. That's why One Punch Man is like one of the best titles ever. Like, easy. So TLDR, make your titles short and sweet, and make your characters easy to pronounce. Like Saitama. That's easy. Rimuru. That one's a little tricky, but you can't win every time. Just strive for making it as easy to pronounce as possible. That's the easiest tip I can give you. Print/upload knowledge. This is when it comes to uploading your manga online or getting it printed off if you're doing traditional or both. What you need to know if you're doing digital is that this is the preset. Okay? You can literally just go on Clip Studio Paint, which is the industry standard. Click on this icon over here, which I think is all presets. And it shows all the presets for all the manga magazines. So there is just no excuse as to why you don't know the settings, because the presets exist.
Okay? Just use them. But FA, I'm traditional. TBH, still easy. Traditional, deleter, just look up deleter. Deleter manga. You will find all the traditional print upload knowledge you need. Okay? Their manga paper has all the bindings on it and they're labeled, so you know exactly how they work. It is that simple. Just get deleter comic book paper, A4. Okay? Scan the paper into your PC using a printer scanner. If your printer doesn't have a scanner, go to the library. If you don't have a library close to you, go to a print store. But the thing is, guys, really what I want to leave you with when it comes to traditional is that switch to digital. Like, if you want to succeed, just switch. This is not a joke. I'm not saying this to poop on traditional. I'm just saying that we are in a digital era, and it's not as easy unless you live in Japan or have other access to submitting traditional work. You have to get it on the computer somehow. You have to do it somehow. I will have a guide for every single one of these aspects. We'll have a full guide at some point on my public YouTube channel. So if you want to learn more about any of these, check those out. Okay? But switching to digital as much as you can is the best thing you can do for your career. This is not the old times anymore, guys. Do not be stubborn. Do not do that to yourself in your career. Understand? I made traditional manga before, and I've had it scanned in and submitted. If you are going to enter a submission contest like Silent Manga Audition, you have to get it on the computer somehow. That's just the only way. So, if you're going to do that, you might as well already start thinking about ways that you can transition. Full video on that will be coming soon. Next, composition. This is an important one. Composition is the page flow / where to put the elements. So that includes the text, the SFX, your characters, the background. Everything falls under the umbrella of composition. Okay? So all you need to know about composition is that it must lead the reader's eyes through the page. All the elements must be placed in order to make it easy for the reader to read. Okay? And in that first video, when I was explaining manga to you guys, we already stated that manga is read from right to left. So as long as your items are placed leading in right to left fashion, your composition is fine. So I'm going to show you some examples of composition. This is spectacular composition. Do you see this, bruh? You can see everything in the page through that C shape. Okay? Everything is placed in order for you to read. Okay? That is what good composition looks like. That is not good composition. The funny about this panel is that in a previous video in this course, someone put this in the screenshot channel, but I actually saved this for an example for this course, which is actually so funny. But this, on the other hand, is not good composition. Okay? If we are reading right to left, yes, FA. No, you might be thinking the arrows lead us through the page, right? But that's not true, because look at the elements. We got boom, boom. It leads you to the right to left, but then this takes you down here. Now I'm here. Oh, should I go this way, this way, this way? Boom, 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 boom. You see what I mean? That's not good. Look at it. It actually gets better right here, but still, altogether, this is not good for reading. This is. See? And it typically creates these shapes, which I'll speak on later. This is good composition. Look at the elements. Boom, boom, boom. You understand? Look at how they specifically place the elements. This is the first panel you read. Then you see his reaction. Then hers. What she said. Oh, wait. Bullet crashes off the wall. Oh, shit. Oh, into the explosion. You can see everything that happens. That's good composition. So, TLDR. Draw a line through the major elements on your page. It should be an S, Z, or a C shape. Now, I don't do this on my own manga. This is just for learning purposes. And as you can see, I have a S shape here and a C shape here for the example. But keep that in mind when you're placing the elements. Just ping pong. I'm going to make a video, like I said, in the previous part. Every section will have its own video. Every section will have its own video, which will be a complete guide for that section. So do not worry if you do not understand or if you want more on that topic. You should understand though. But S, Z, look, this is a Z. Then the whole thing is an S. C. That's amazing. I can read that. Gosh, this is so clean, bruh. Like, oh my goodness. I have to step out of character for a second, but oh, I love good composition, boy. Oh. Yeah. You can see if the composition is good if it has any of these three shapes. These are the easiest because we read from right to left. And see how you can go from right. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa. You feel me? So, next up is panels. Now, don't get confused between panels and composition. Panels is specifically knowing which panel to use. So these are the paneling rule of thumbs. Okay. First, the last panel of every page should be a cliffhanger. Okay. This is something that you have to consciously think about, but once you've done it enough times, it is second nature. And the point of this is that if the last panel is a cliffhanger, they will read the next page. That's why sometimes you can be reading manga and you can just be binge reading it over, like not over and over, but for a long time, but you'll eventually get to a point where maybe they're explaining something, right? And then that's where you stop reading. You're like, okay, I'm going to take a break for now because the cliffhangers are done. You don't want to know what's going to happen next anymore. This dude said, "Feast your eyes, old man, on a real sorcerer." And he starts pulling out black smoke from his fingers. You're like, damn, what's he about to feast his eyes on? And you go to the next page. That's literally how it works. Like, you can see this in every manga. Next, 6 panels max per page. You will see manga more than 6 panels per page. These are not good rules to live by. Typically, 6 is pushing it. You really want to aim for 4 to 6 as the sweet spot. Okay? Panels must have variety or else it's boring. What does variety mean in paneling? In the middle here, we have Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball Z, right? We've got rectangle, 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 right? These are all rectangles, okay? They're different shapes of rectangles, right? Different sizes. That's why it's not boring, right? Because this one's split right here, this one's split right here, this one's long. That's variety using the same shape. But if they're all the same shape, it just looks like trash. Try making a manga with all squares, it is trash. No matter how good the art is, it will be trash. Unless it's a 4-koma manga. So check out this one. Boom. Slanted. Slants. Cuts off right here. Look at these shapes. Different shapes, different sizes. That's how you create a visually dynamic page. Okay? And this has great composition. That's why you can see when I was doing the study on them. These are all my study marks, by the way. But I put the S on it. You can see the elements that leads you through the page. So you have to read everything. You have to see everything. Something that you'll hear in the manga community is like the notion of like, no one's gonna see this or something like that, right? Well, if your composition's good enough, they will see it. Because, sure, you see how he put this text right here? You could have skipped over it if this was not here. But your eyes were led in that fashion. So that's just a little off-topic tidbit about paneling. Just, you can make things get seen if you position them in that way. See? So like, boom, boom, boom. Easy. You can see everything.
So good. Don't make boring manga though. TLDR, copy the paneling of your favorite manga. It probably follows these rules. Try it out. I mean, pull up any manga, see if it follows at least one of these 3 rules that I just said. Okay, there's plenty of other rules, but like I said in the last part, everything will have its own video, so look forward to that. Next up is perspective. Woo! This is a crucial aspect of manga, but why is that? It's because the purpose is to create realism. Okay? Realism is 3D. Manga is made on paper, right? On a screen even, and it looks flat. But what we do with perspective is make it look 3D so it looks realistic. Okay? That's how you get people immersed instead of just looking at flat pictures. Okay? So that's the goal with perspective. Boom. This top panel shows us without perspective and with perspective. It's as easy as changing the size of elements to show that they're further away. Breaking things down into boxes and using 1, 2, and 3 point perspective. Now, the reason why you might have heard the notion of breaking down everything into boxes is because it's the easiest thing to put in perspective, as you can see here. 1, 2, and 3 point perspective are the only perspectives that they use for manga. Do not even worry about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't worry about them probably ever in your life, if we're being completely honest. These are the only ones. And honestly, 3 point perspective is the most common. So if I was you, learn 1, 2, and 3 point perspective in one day. Learn how to break anything down into shapes and then put the shapes in perspective. That is the easiest way to do it. You can learn this in one day. Oh, all the lines converge on 1 point. The left ones converge on the left point. The right ones converge on the right point. Oh, left converges left. Right converges right. Middle converges up. You know what I mean? Like, it's simple. I will have my own video on it if you want to wait. But this is pretty much all you need. You have to know that stuff closer up is bigger, further away is smaller. Everything can be broken down into shapes, and shapes is the easiest way to put them in perspective. And you only need to learn 1 through 3 point perspective. Next up, we have character design. And like I said, guys, this was structured in order so that if you skip steps, you're going to miss out on foundational skills. So it's more important for you to learn how to do perspective before you learn how to design characters. Even though characters are more important in manga than perspective, which is why I said this is the tricky part, learning perspective before character design is a better idea. So how do you get good at character design? Well, that's pretty simple in theory, right? The more details you have, the easier it is to know what to do with the character. What do I mean by that specifically? This is a character sheet by Hirohiko Araki, right? In his book Manga in Theory and Practice. That's why I made that joke like just a couple of seconds ago. If you fill out this sheet for every one of your characters, you will know exactly what they wear, you will know how they act, you will know everything about them, and you can easily make stories out of them. This is the amount of detail that you need to make good characters, memorable characters. Because most people just do, this is their name, how old they are, sex, hair color, and then put clothes on them. That's basically it. Put clothes on them, features. Bruh, there has to be a reason for that. If someone has dreams for the future of never wearing glasses again, right? Because they think that glasses are ugly, then they're probably wearing glasses or contacts right now, right? See how that makes the character for them? This is how it works. You can download this template in the Discord, in the resources page. Yeah, just those two. Actually, I was going to say this video, but no. This is the amount of detail you need, guys, to make good characters. The more details, the better. TLDR. Download the character sheet. Use it for every character. Next up, we have backgrounds. This one is exciting for me because I love backgrounds. But what's important for you to know with backgrounds is only do enough so that we know where the characters are. Okay? What do I mean by that? Not every panel needs a background. Okay? Check this panel out right here. In the first panel, we see that everyone's on the rock. Okay? And they're looking at something. Right? We don't have to draw that long rock again because we already know that they're still there. So that's why you can draw a simple rock to show that he's in the same location, you see? You don't have to draw the background every time. But you see how he looked over here at a different spot? That's why we drew the background again with a tree to show it's different than this one. Okay? Did that kind of make sense? If not, I'll reiterate it again. Not every panel needs a background. We only need enough information to know where the characters are. If we've established that the characters are getting into a ship, we don't have to draw the ship every single time. If we've established that the characters are on a rock, we don't have to draw the whole rock every time to know where they are. See how there's no sky in this one? There's no sky in this. Like, we know that they're outside. And it doesn't take away from the manga at all. That's what I mean. Another example. You can start off with no background. See how in this manga, Dr. Slump, there is no background. Just wiring. You don't know where he's at this point. But on the same page, we see that he's in his laboratory. That is what I mean. Not every panel needs a background. Okay? So, if backgrounds are a daunting task for you, keep this in mind. You don't have to do it on every single panel. Only do it on panels when we have to know where the characters are. So TLDR, only do what's necessary for the scene to be understood. Hopefully that makes sense. And guys, quickly, I just wanted to say, if any of these need more explanation, just need to be fixed, anything like that, please let me know and I will answer any question you have. You can message me in the Discord, reach out to me via contacting support. It will get to our team and it will get back to one of us and we can help you out. But I want to make sure that everything is as easy to understand as possible. That's the way that we structured this course. So if there's anything at all that you need help with, just make sure you ask and I will help get it done for you. Cool. Let's move on. Text in SFX. This is pretty simple and straightforward. Just make sure the text is centered. If you make a bubble, the text has to be in the middle of the bubble. That's kind of the only rule. Okay? There are other rules of thumb, which I'm going to show you, but this is the most important thing I want you to make sure of. Okay? Centered. Centered. See? It will not be centered if there's too many words. If this was words from top to bottom, it's no longer centered. But you want it to have enough space on the bottom and on the top. Okay? So this right here is a good example too. This is good. This is amazing. Okay, you can use bold if you want to. Text and SFX is where you have a lot of freedom. As you can see, rumble and like all different type of stuff. The next thing I want you to keep in mind with text and SFX is that different bubble shapes are different tones of voices. Okay? This brother is obviously yelling. This brother is obviously screaming. Right? This is obviously a flashback or maybe a thought or maybe someone narrating. Okay? That all depends on how you draw the bubble. So this is an important step, but you do have a lot of freedom. Like you can see, you can make big SFX to show that it's loud. But the one thing that these have in common is that the text is centered. That's why it's the most important, okay? So just make sure your text is centered. And TLDR, create your own bubbles for different situations. Easy. Next, storyboarding / planning. This is a step you can never skip. Never ever. okay? Because think of it as a playground. You just want to be loose and try stuff out. This is where you get to see if your composition's going to work, how things are going to be placed. You can just try these out before you commit to fully making the manga. This is an example of a storyboard. On the right is the storyboard. On the left is the sketch. Okay, read right to left. So, yeah, as you can see, it's much more loose, the storyboard. It should be quick. You should be quickly trying to see what the composition looks like. See how it's not pretty? They thought that they could make a composition like this where they had this scene and maybe a bubble right here. Oh, they didn't like that. So they changed it up in the final sketch. You see? See how the layout's just changed? But you can only figure out if it's going to work and how good it looks if you test it out low effort first. Try and make your storyboards as fast as possible, because all you have to do is test things out, okay? TLDR, never start drawing until you've storyboarded and tested the layout. Never. Ever. Professionals do this all the time. But I've seen people that have just start inking right away. Facts. Those people do exist. But if you want the best chance of making a good manga, you should storyboard every time, without fail. Next up, a section that I bet a lot of you were waiting on, that's art. Now, like I said in the other parts before, every section will have its own video. The most important aspect I want to cover about art is how to create your own style. This is something that a lot of people want. They don't want to mimic other people. That's why we gatekeep. But the easiest way to make your own style is by finding what you like and dislike in other styles and putting them together. Let me show you an example. These are multiple different styles, okay? All drawing the same character per se, right? But, oh, maybe some people like the way that they draw the jawline. Oh, but I like the eyes of this one. Ooh, I like the way that the hair looks in this one. If you combined multiple elements from other artists, you will get your own style. So just find what you like and dislike from those styles, put them together, and that's what you get. So TLDR, find 5 artists max that you like. Combine elements you like, then create your own style. A very practical way to go about this is just, let's say you like Takehiko Inoue, right? You like the way that he draws eyes. Just draw eyes like him for the rest of your life. That is it. Every time you have to put eyes on your character, make the eyes like he would make them. Maybe you like Kyu Hayashida from Dorohedoro, the way he draws clothes. Draw clothes like that for the rest of your life. You already have a new style. It's very simple in theory, but in practice is when it gets a little tricky. That's why I say you have to find 5 artists max, because once you open the floodgates, right? Once you take away the boundaries that you set for yourself, that is when it starts getting overwhelming and nothing gets done. So I like to keep it simple. Stick to 5 artists max that you like. Combine the elements. Create your own style. That's the most important thing for art. Next up, light and shadow. What is the purpose of light and shadow? It's to create realism. Same thing as perspective, okay? Realism is 3D. We want to make our manga look as realistic as possible. That is how people get immersed into it, because it looks real. Okay? And light and shadow allows you to do that. So how does light and shadow actually work in manga? This you probably have never heard before, because it's going to sound funny. These are 2 panels of manga with 2 different light sources. Okay? FA, how do I know where to put the light source? Where do I put the shadows? XYZ. The easiest way to explain this is that if there is a predetermined light source, like if this character is next to a window, that is a light source. But if there is no predetermined light source, you can just make it up. There's clearly no light here below her eye, right? There's clearly no light here in this effect, right? You can just make it up. As long as there is no predetermined light source, like if they were standing next to this pole back here, then that's a light source from the top. You put the shadows, XYZ. But if there's not, you can just make it up. No one cares. Literally. No one cares. As long as you make it look real. That is all we want. Realism. Okay? There is a light source here. Coming from the side. Light coming from the side. That is real. So TLDR. Use light if it enhances the mood of the scene. Otherwise, use it however you want. And this might come as a surprise to you, but guys, from the countless manga I've studied so far, this rule runs true. The only question you have to ask yourself is, does this look real? If the answer is no, add shadows, make it look real. Add perspective, make it look real. That is it. Tool knowledge. FA, shouldn't I learn how to use Clip Studio Paint and these traditional tools before I learn the rest of the steps? No, because if you do not know the purpose behind things like light and shadow, like art, character design, perspective, composition, paneling, these other things, then you won't know how to use the tools, because you need the tools to create the other elements. Does that make sense? So what do I mean? Clip Studio Paint, right? Industry standard. This is a good video for you to watch on Clip Studio Paint. It's by White Manga. I watched this a long time ago when I first started using Clip Studio Paint, and it was very useful. Okay? What I really want you to understand about tool knowledge is that tool knowledge is one of the most important things for creating manga quickly. If you know how to use your tools to create art, to create text, to do all these other things, you can make manga much faster. I will touch more on that in the last step, which is speed, and you will understand why. Second thing is traditional manga. Just go to deleterusa.com. Deleter is the most common brand to get tools. They have starter packs too. See, they have ink, Deleter paper, comic book paper, get A4 paper. They've got pens, nibs, all of that. Don't make this hard for yourself. Just get a starter kit. I have Deleter stuff. I got it when I was in Japan. It works great. But really what I want to iterate when it comes to tool knowledge is that you have to know your way around your tools, because it expands the amount of things you can do with your manga. TLDR, learn how to use the industry standard products to do all of the foundational manga skills. Yes, take time out of your day to play around with ink, play around with whiteout, play around with Clip Studio Paint, play around with things so you get a better understanding of what you're capable of doing with the tools, because when it's time to make manga, now your bag is deeper. Okay. Next up, we got another important aspect, and that's line art / inking. Now, what is inking? Okay, we're going to go over some rules of thumb that you want to keep in mind when inking. First, inking. This is when you have your sketch. Remember how I said to make a sketched version of your first manga in this course? You go over the sketch with ink. Now, this doesn't have to literally be ink, especially if you're working digitally, but you have to go over it with darker, more clean lines, almost like you're tracing it. Okay? This is how you get manga that looks crisp, because they sketch it first, then they go over it with ink. Inking is usually one of the last things you do before your manga is complete. When you ink, you want to draw everything in one stroke. Okay? So, here, for example, this was probably drawn in one stroke. The reason why is because when you start going like and all that, right? Unless you're making details like these hatching lines, your lines are going to look amateurish. You do not want that. Clean sweep. Keep that in mind. Every time you think about inking, think of the words clean sweep in one stroke. This is how you get those clean lines. And look, traditional, don't be afraid to use whiteout if you mess up. Literally everyone does it. Same thing with digital. If you mess up a line, don't be afraid to just do it over. That's what we got digital for. Control Z. Third rule of thumb. The darker the line, the closer it is to the screen. The lighter the line, the further away it is. This is a perspective thing, but as you can see here by his hand, right? The outline of his knuckles, outline of the bottom of his hand here lets you know that he has turned his hand in and it's closer to the screen. Versus back here, which has like dashy lines, you can tell it's in the background. If it was all highlighted, this would look like the hand is in one spot. You can see this in lots of manga, okay? This is why you'll see manga artists make dark lines for the outline and thin lines for the details, because the details are not as important, okay? The darker it is, the more important it is. You understand? We want you to see his fist. That's why you made it dark. If I wanted you to see his entire body, I would make it all dark. But the fist is what you want to see because it's going to crack any shield out there. I hope that makes sense, guys. Like I said, if it doesn't, need help with anything, just reach out to me, reach out to the team, contact support, anything. We will help you. TLDR. Copy the line art techniques from your favorite manga and redo each line until it's perfect. If you have the time, it is better that you make a perfectly straight line such as these. Okay? If it's your style to make it more sketchy, then make sure you're consistently making it sketchy. Otherwise, it's going to look bad. Okay? Look at this one over here. These are clean lines. Clean lines. Clean lines. That's what makes the art really pop. Okay? Sketch first, ink last. Now, screen tones. These are the grays that you see in manga. Okay? Before I got into manga seriously, I always used to think that they were just using the color gray. I'm being so serious. I thought it was the color gray. Just put it on there, and because it's black and white, monochrome, whatever, this is fine. But no, this is not fine. It's called screen tones. Okay? You're welcome. Screen tones are typically used to show color and shadows. As you know, manga is a black and white medium, like I just said. But some characters have blue hair in reality. They have different colored clothes, things like that. That is when you add screen tones, to let other people know that, hey, this is a different color than black and white. Shadows. Screen tone is what is used to show these shadows. Couldn't I just use hatching? Couldn't I just use lines? Yes, you could. But not everyone's style calls for it. Sometimes adding lines for shading might portray a different mood than adding shadows with screen tone. Okay? Look at the before and after. This is a sketched version with lines, you see? And this is tone. Screen tone. You add tone to the screen and it gives you a whole different look. Realism, shadows. Okay? Now, how do you use screen tones? If you're a digital and using Clip Studio Paint, these are the settings. These are the industry standard settings. Circle, 85 frequency, play with the density. The higher the density, the darker the tone. Lower the density, the lighter the tone. People typically make density folders that have 30, 10, 20, all the way up to 80, 90, 100. People don't use the really high ones, usually like mainly just 50, 60, 70s. But this is all you need. Just apply this tone, put it in the highlight areas for shadows. It will look good most of the time. But I'm traditional. Same thing. Deleter, you can get screen tones from them. You can get screen tone packs online from Amazon. You just do the same thing. The density is the number on the screen tone pack. TLDR. Use screen tones for showing colors of things, such as clothes, hair, and shading. Okay? As you can see, in this over here, you might think her hair is probably blonde. Maybe. That's probably it, though. Probably blonde. Maybe not brown. But when you add the tone to it, it could be any color. This could be pink. Who knows? But since it's probably, it's a darker shade, they use a darker screen tone, so it's probably a darker color, like brownish. But that's what tone does for you. It still might be blonde, but I'm just saying you can only get this effect. You can only show color with tone. So make sure you use screen tone if your style permits it. Illustration. What is the purpose of illustrations for a manga artist?
They're extremely memorable. Okay? Illustrations are what helps build your fan base for your manga. These are the chapter illustrations. This is for My Hero Academia Volume 8, and this is for Dorohedoro Chapter 25. Or I think it might be Volume 25. But either way, it shows the characters in scenarios that are not tied directly to the manga. Uraraka is not a fashion model, as far as I know. So, like, why would she take a picture like this? Who knows? But it gets to show her in a different way. These are things that people set as their backgrounds. It sounds cringe, but I'm being serious. These are things that people look at and just admire the artistic detail. That's the point of illustration. These are the things that get people to remember your manga. Okay? The story is obviously more important when it comes to memorability, but the illustration is what is on the cover. And that is what gets people to either pick your manga or someone else's. Okay? If this was the cover of My Hero Academia, people would read it. Although, if you did pay attention to the title and naming section, this has nothing to do with heroes or academia. So I think a lot of people would be confused about what this is about. But it is a cool illustration, in my opinion. So that's cool. Gorgeous and gorging. Gorgeous and gorging. And they're eating and they're pretty. Okay? The illustration ties into the text. This is why you have to know how to clickbait first before you can make an illustration. Because if you can come up with the title, gorgeous and gorging, I can't even say it, it's a tongue twister. If you can come up with this title, it's easy to decide what kind of illustration to make, what needs to be shown. Okay? Planning is the most important skill, and you need it for making illustrations. TLDR. Making full-size, detailed, complete illustrations are what help you build your fan base. This will be touched on in another video in this course, more in detail. But also, making illustrations is just good practice. Good way to practice your skills, because these panels, you do not make them most of the time when you're making manga. It's just for one-off shock factor. Someone flips to this page, they're like, wow, this is very cool. And they just keep reading. But it breaks up the normal panel by panel framework of a manga. So making illustrations is good practice, but making manga is better. Next up is color theory. This is a skill that you rarely use when it comes to manga unless you are making a colored manga, which I do not recommend unless you're making a webtoon, which is not what we specialize in here. The purpose of color theory is to choose the right colors to show off your illustrations. Okay? Color theory is required to make your illustrations stand out, but not your manga. The first thing I want you to take away with color theory is that there are colors that complement one another. Okay? Blue and orange, yellow and purple, green and red. Putting these colors next to each other just looks good. You don't even have to know what the word complement means. Just think of it looks good together. Try it out for yourself. Make a character that has purple and yellow features. That John pops. Green and red, that John pops. Red and orange, might be a little too red. You feel me? But the complementary colors. I think this is the most important thing with color theory. It doesn't have to be this super hard thing. Just pick the least amount of colors possible and make them complement each other. Next tip. Colors convey emotion. So make sure you choose your colors wisely. Notice how his flame is orange and red and his is blue. Which character is more cool-blooded, cool-tempered? Oh, probably the one that looks like ice. You feel me? Think about Todoroki from My Hero. I'm reading My Hero, forgive me. It's so good. But think about Todoroki. He has half fire, half ice. So he has both sides. His colors complement that. He has white hair on one side and red hair on the other side to show that he has two different personalities, a cool side and a hot side. Okay?
Characters that are on this side are typically hot-blooded versus this side, cool-blooded. Okay? Green is like symbolic of what? When you think of the color green, what comes to mind? Like grass, right? Like life, things like that. Upbeatness, that's yellow. Like there's just different colors that mean different things. So if you want to convey a certain emotion with your characters, with the illustration, make sure you pick colors that represent that. TLDR, focus on coloring last. It has the most impact on getting your manga attention, but less impact than the manga content itself. So that's why I decided to work backwards. If you can make the manga good, then you can spend a lot of time working on the color illustration. This is a good illustration for a manga. But if someone was only able to do this, you open the manga and it's doo-doo, you're going to not get any readers. You might get followers on Instagram, which once again, I'll touch on later, but we want people to read and enjoy your manga. So focus on color theory last. The final element when it comes to making manga is speed. Now, FA, what actually is speed? Knowledge is speed. What do I mean by this? Let's say you don't know how to draw backgrounds. That means when it's time to draw a background, you will spend longer making backgrounds than any other element. If you knew how to draw backgrounds, you would get through them quicker. This is a fact. If you knew how light and shadow worked, you would apply light and shadow to your scene quicker. If you knew how Clip Studio Paint worked, you would make manga on Clip Studio Paint quicker. Knowledge is speed. The more you know, the faster decisions you can make. This is not just manga. This is real life as well. If you ever find yourself stuck, unable to make a decision, it might be because you do not have enough knowledge in that section. Okay? When I was coding the website, right? I kept getting stuck because I didn't know a better way. Same thing with manga. Now that you know the prerequisites, the other elements, speed is the last thing that you can improve upon. Okay? So, knowledge is speed. One more time. Knowledge is speed. So here are some practical tips to increase the speed of making your manga. This is called a left-hand device. This one specifically is called an 8-bit do micro, I believe. This is the one I have. I got it from a pro manga artist in Japan. They recommended it to me. This is how you make manga faster. How? Because you can bind keys to this. I have Control Z, which is the undo key, to this button. I have Control Shift Z, which is the redo button, to this key. These ones let me zoom in, up and down. I hold it to my side. That's how I draw with one hand, and I'm clicking around with the other hand. It's faster. It's just faster. Okay? Left-hand devices are what pros use. This is an industry secret, kind of. Like, I don't see people using them that often. Pretty much just manga artists. Like, there are illustrators that have them, but mostly manga artists, because you have to draw quickly. Look up left-hand device. You will find ideas. I also have a calculator keypad. It's just the same thing. Listen. You can do all types of stuff with it. Just having a left-hand device or a right-hand device if you're left-handed, this will make you draw faster. Next up, using whatever you have to do to get the job done. This is Inio Asano, the manga artist behind Goodnight Pun Pun. He takes pictures of scenes, then he draws over them, makes additions. You can see more about his process by just looking him up, because a lot of people do this now. But you do not have to draw the entire background, guys. Nobody cares. I'm telling you, nobody cares. If your manga is good, people care. If it's trash, no one cares. So do whatever you have to do. Do not just sit there and think, oh man, I don't know how to draw this from absolute scratch. Unless you want to do that, you don't have to. Nobody cares. Like, no one's going to think ill of you for taking shortcuts unless the shortcuts take away from the manga. So you will see, like in JJK, some of the chapters closer to the end of the series, there were times when Gigi obviously rushed and it took away from the story. That is what you do not want.
But if you can speed up the process and keep the quality, speed is always a good thing. Except for Chat GPT and AI. That is always a terrible decision. I do not support AI. I will never support AI for the sake of making art. It definitely has its use though. But use whatever means necessary. Okay? This is just one example. A video for each section will be coming out in the future. So stay tuned for that. You can also ask friends to help you or hire assistants using Gonmo. Again, will get its own video, but just ask your friends to help you make the manga. If you have friends that have some free time that want to make manga, that make manga as well, get them to work with you. Everyone does it. I don't do it, but yeah. A lot of people do it. Seriously. If you have a deadline to meet, if you just want to work on something fun with your friends, then just ask them to help you make the manga. Have someone do the backgrounds. Could be fun. You can learn things from each other. And using Gonmo, majority of people, especially those watching this video, probably will not use Gonmo to hire assistants because it's usually for professionals looking for assistants, not for people that are not, for lack of a better term. Okay? And you can also find work on there for other people. So definitely check it out. I know a lot of people haven't heard of it. So you should definitely look into it. Video coming soon though. Just get assistance. That's just a quick way to get help. So TLDR, the more you know, the less you freeze. Take any shortcut necessary if on a deadline. I hope that makes sense. This was the last element when it comes to making a professional grade manga. I want to make sure that I reiterate that the actionable steps for this video are that you use 1 to 3, I would start with 1 only, concepts from this part, make a new manga, then use the same page length as the original manga you made for later comparison. Okay? Do not overwhelm yourself. I made this video as detailed and as long as possible to tell you important things for each section, just so you had something new to apply to the next time you make a manga. But do not even dare add more than 3 concepts to your next manga, because you're just going to overwhelm yourself. Some people can do it though. I just do not recommend it wholeheartedly just for the simple fact that you don't want to overwhelm yourself, okay? So 1 to 3 concepts. Once you are done with this, you will have a new manga that is guaranteed better than your last manga. If you don't believe me, look at the reviews from the Rubric 1 and Rubric 2. But now that you have your next manga, we need to talk about how you can use the new manga you made to grow your audience and your personal brand. So I will see you guys in the next video. Good job. You're following the steps, doing what I told you to do, and you're seeing results. This is great. We're all happy. Now let's get some more people to read our stuff. Welcome to video 6 of this course, where you learn how to make a manga that is readable and enjoyable. By the end of this video, you will be able to grow your audience of readers right now. And easily too. Like, as long as you follow all the steps I give you in this video, it should be easy. And you should see linear, pretty much, progress towards getting more people to read your manga and support your art journey. Now, before we start, I want to talk about social media for manga. There is a trap that a lot of artists fall into, especially manga artists, and I'm just going to call them the social media manga artists, okay? Now, these are people that would go for serialization, go for contest winning, go for being published if they could, but they're stuck posting on social media, just getting likes, just doing manga for the sake of feeling good. Because, oh man, everyone likes it. I get a lot of views, get a lot of whatever, so I must be good, right? But then when you get put in a scenario where there's real hitters, real people who do this for a living, you look like trash, okay? That is the social media manga artist trap, is that if you post too much online, right? The people that support you are people that like you for any number of reasons, but that is not telling of your ability. And it's easy to get swept up into the numbers and think that, oh yeah, I'm really him, I'm really her, for you ladies out there. But that's not how it works, guys. And you can destroy your career doing this, because have you ever thought about why people become one-hit wonders? Is because if you haven't had the experience of having to get it from the ground up, right? Like having to improve, if you're getting that feedback loop immediately, you have no reason to improve. You have no reason to change. Okay? I've seen this happen to people on like Manga Plus creators, on Twitter, on YouTube even. You get a viral video, a viral manga once, and you think, you know what? I must be the greatest ever just because of these numbers. But the numbers are not telling of your actual ability. So this is a trap that I want you to make sure you stay away from as much as possible. Make sure that you're getting your manga in the hands of people that you respect. Okay? And social media is not bad for making manga. I want to say that really quickly, that it all depends on your goals. Some people have the goal of getting a social media following. Okay? And in that case, keep doing what you're doing. If it's working, congratulations. But I'm talking specifically to people who have other goals outside of just getting likes on Instagram and getting people that really want to improve, pretty much. This is a trap that you have to avoid. But again, it all depends on what goals you have. So stick to your values. Just make sure you do not fall for the trap. Okay? Next up, we have to revisit this tier list. This is the tier list that we talked about early on in the course about how to get new readers for your manga. As you can see, this tier list now is how to grow your audience, okay? And it's a completely different tier list, okay? Some things are about the same, but let's touch on from the bottom up the social media that are the best when it comes to growing your audience. So in the might work section, we have Twitter and Instagram. These might work because you have to do hashtags, you got to share your stuff around. Like, I don't know about you guys, but when was the last time you clicked on or searched up a hashtag? Not very often, right? People do it. I've done it before, like when something's like trending on Twitter, like, oh, I'm gonna check for like some news or something. But most of the time, people are not going to find your stuff going to the hashtag. Because think about it, if every single person watches this video, like let's say 100 people watch this video and everyone posted the same hashtag, unless it's a niche hashtag, people are not going to click on it. That is why I put these in the might work section, because you might get lucky, okay? So it's definitely recommended to do it anyways if you already have an account. But in terms of getting growth, this is not where I would focus my efforts for manga specifically. Next up, we have OK Idea, Discord. As you can see, Discord fell very far down this time because in order to grow your audience through Discord, that means you have to consistently talk to people and share your manga in groups, and that's tedious. That's just way too tedious, bruh. You're better off posting it out there and just hoping that someone stumbles across it versus putting in that work. And it's definitely doable. If you want to put in that hard work, go ahead, message people on Discord. You will get readers, you will get followers that way. But if we're talking about doing this right now and the fastest way to do it, this is not a way I would recommend, okay, for audience growth. You can for sure get one reader every day if you did it on Discord, but you could also just get banned for spamming. So that's why I just put it in an OK Idea. I would do it sometimes if you're just struggling to get new people to read, but yeah, nah. Good idea. Pixiv and Manga Plus creators. Like I said before in the previous tier list, these are platforms specifically for manga artists. So getting new readers is much easier on these platforms than anything else. There are other platforms like Line Manga. There's just other platforms in Japan specifically that they use, but I'm guessing most people watching this video in English are not Japanese and not looking to target the Japanese audience. Because if so, Twitter would become one of the better ideas because that is where they stay. But for now, these two are what I would focus on for good ideas. But what are the best ideas for growing your audience? You're going to hate it, but I'm going to say it. TikTok and YouTube. Why these are the best platforms is because of the algorithm. These have algorithms that no other platforms have. Your TikTok can go viral, anyone's can. Your YouTube video can get seen and go viral, anyone's can. Okay? Just based off algorithm, just based off the interest of people and the behaviors of them and all these other things that I don't even know how to explain without taking up the next hour. So having an account on one of or both of these platforms is pivotal. You do not need to post YouTube videos that are like how to draw manga or do these other traditional things. Just do whatever is true to you that relates to your manga. Literally, it doesn't even have to relate to your manga on those social media platforms. As long as you post and tell people you have a manga, you will get readers that way. That is why I put those in the best idea, even though I hate both of them pretty much. Now, don't bother. I put everything else in there because honestly, these are the main platforms. These are the most popular. This is where these have the largest base of users. So I would focus on these. But if you have one in mind that you're like, man, I want to try this, like, I don't know, like Wattpad or Webtoon, or I think Wattpad's only for like novels and stuff, but you get what I'm saying. You should pick those and work at them because the easiest way to grow on a platform is to have knowledge of that platform. Okay? So if you spend a lot of time on Instagram, if you know a lot about Instagram, Instagram might be a better idea than TikTok for you. If you spend a lot of time on Discord, well, probably still not a great idea, honestly. But you get what I'm saying? Pick whatever platform you use the most and just spend your time trying to grow on that platform. Okay, if you don't like YouTube, if you don't want to make content videos at all, stay away from those. It depends on you specifically. So that's why I've given you this tier list to say my personal opinion and from what I have seen in my own life. Like if you look at my TikTok right now, I think it's F.A. Davis with 2 S's. The manga TikToks I made got me a lot of traction. The manga YouTube videos I made got me a lot of traction. That made people want to read my stuff without me showing them the manga first, okay? Because when we grow our audience, we want them to just know our manga exists, and we work on making our manga better so that when people know that it exists, they make that decision to read it, okay? So here are some strategic self-promotion tactics that will help you genuinely. Like, I'm being so serious. These tactics right here will get you more readers, more followers, more eyes on your stuff, okay? The first one, and the thing that I think should be posted more often than anything else on your social media platforms, is promotional illustrations. Now, as you can see on screen here, this is my friend's Pixiv profile, Seb, S-E-B. Feel free to check them out. But they have a manga called Yvette with 89 chapters, okay? And they post promotional illustrations using the characters from the series. People see it, they're like, wow, this is cool. What series is this? What is this? You know, like I was saying in the last part about illustration, this is what gets people's eyes on your manga. So you need to make illustrations using your characters, the characters from your manga, to promote the manga, okay? This is a great example of that. You can see Yvette here with the other rest of the crew. I got to swing back and finish reading this series, honestly, because I was actually enjoying it. But this is what you want to post the most of on social media. Promotional illustrations specifically. You can post screenshots of your chapters and things like that, like panels that you really liked. But the promotional illustrations are the things that people save, the things that people share. These are the things that people like. If you don't believe me, an actionable step is to just go to a professional manga artist Instagram or Twitter right now. You will only see promotional illustrations. This is how you promote. You show off your artwork and it funnels people to the manga. Put the link in the description. The next tactic that helps grow your audience is by doing it for someone else. What do I mean by that? This is the traditional follow for follow method. F.A., no way. I'm being serious, guys. If you do something for someone else, they are more likely to help you in return. Now, what does this look like practically? Okay, if you are a part of the Discord, which I'm pretty sure you are if you made it this far in the course, if you're having a conversation with another member or in any other Discord, ask them for their Instagram. Don't tell them about you. It's not about you when it comes to a transaction like this, right? Ask them, hey, do you have an Instagram? I want to see what you post. Follow them. Critique their stuff. Ask them for advice, XYZ. Do it for them first, and they're more likely to do it for you. Okay? So just following people willy-nilly, follow for follow, like that's what people used to do a lot when I was in like middle school. Like follow for follow, like you just follow people just so you can get followers. Like people would have like 2,000 people in their following and have like 800 followers and then like have a huge boost to their status. But that's not the meta no more, bruh. You have to provide value to someone to get value in return. Okay? And that's what happens when you do it first for someone else. So see people that you actually like, people that you actually like their content. Don't just follow people willy-nilly. Like their stuff, comment on it. You will get the same in return. That is called reciprocating. Next up, and a very underrated promotional tactic, which is just ask. What do I mean by that? Literally just ask someone to follow you. Ask someone to check out your page. Do not do the whole, guys, I'm a new rapper. Please check out my song and post it in an area where it's not welcomed. But you can tie your questions into getting people to check out your page. Here's an example. Let's say that you post all illustrations using the color red. You can ask someone, does this layout look good? Send a screenshot of your Instagram showing all red and just explain what you're going for. For example, oh yeah, I'm just going for the colors all red for this page, all blue for another page, all purple for another page. What do you think about the layout? If your stuff is interesting to them, first of all, you'll get a response and you'll get valuable feedback, but then you'll also get a follower. That's how it works. So when I say just ask, I don't mean go around and beg, because if you can't do anything for the other person, if there's no reason that they should check out your stuff, they're just not going to. Okay? So use real questions, real problems that you want to have solved to shape your asking proposal. Okay? And at a basic level, you really can just ask sometimes. Some people will just follow you and become the best supporters just because you ask them. But that can only happen if you have relationships with people. Going around asking strangers, it can work sometimes, but I do not recommend it. You can ask me though. You can just ask me. I will check out your page. If I have the time, I will follow if I like it. Now, last promotional tactic and the most important one, which if you thought about this already, you can only imagine this is the most important skill when it comes to promoting yourself online and growing your audience: consistency. Okay? This is the most important thing for a reason. I say this so much for a reason. Because let me give you a very specific illustration that will let you see how consistency works. Let's say that you post an illustration of any kind on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? EST. If someone follows you and they get used to the fact that you post at this time on this date, right? On this day of the week, this means the next time you don't post on that date, they are less likely to trust you. And if they do not trust that you're going to do what you said you would do by posting the same time, being consistent, they are going to lose contact with you, and you are going to potentially lose a follower. This is the real reason why consistency is important. Okay? Especially when it comes to, posting online. But it builds that habit for you. If you are posting consistently, people consistently show up. And when people consistently show up, more people consistently show up. You understand? If you are consistent, people are consistent with you. Okay? And that also goes for real life. Okay? If you're changing up too many times, people cannot stick with that. If you start somewhere and you're like, okay, I want to try posting Monday. If that doesn't work for you, switch to Tuesday and then just be consistent. You don't have to announce what you're going to do. You just have to do it and keep doing it. People will see that effort. I promise. Which leads me into the next important point when it comes to growing your audience. And it's something that, if we're being completely honest, this is one of the most life-changing revelations I've ever had when it comes to making manga, just about
anything in life that I want to achieve, which I do not have at this point, right? And that's that you only need one. This is powerful, guys, and I wish I knew this several years ago, man. You just only need one. Check this out, guys. Let's say you've been posting on Instagram consistently for a year straight. And yeah, you've been getting some growth here and there, but you haven't had that moment yet. All it takes is your post to blow up one time and your life has changed forever. But here's the thing. That moment never comes if you quit at any point. That is why people that never stop always win. Because eventually you are going to eat. If you are doing something that has proven fruitless and you've made no improvements, that is when it starts to become detrimental to you. But if you are consistently trying to improve, trying to get better at what you are doing, and you are posting consistently, you just keep doing it, eventually you will eat. You only have to eat one time to be set for the rest of your life. This also does not just apply to manga. Relationships. Let's say you've had a bad relationship in the past. You only need one. You only need one good relationship for you to be out of the dating pool for the rest of your life. Like if you get married, if that's what you decide to do. Same thing. You only need one good job for you to be set for the rest of your life. So do not quit, guys. This is the reason why. Because you could be that close to the jackpot. If it's gambling, though, quit that immediately. But when it comes to being consistent in something that you actually care about, something you actually want, as long as you do not quit, you will eventually win. So that's why you can't just give a date as to when you will reach a certain goal if it is out of your hands. If you want to say, yeah, I want to get this many followers by this date, that's kind of out of your hands, guys. That's the truth. Like, you are not completely in control over someone's actions on whether they want to follow you or not. You can do things that make it more enticing, like posting content that is niche specific, that certain people like, staying up to date with trends, things like that. These things improve your chances, but never get discouraged and think that there's something wrong with what you're doing, okay? That it's not working. You have to keep going. You have to keep going. You cannot quit at any point. If it's not working, find out a way to make it work. If someone else can do it, you can do it too. That is how life works. Because this is another thing I realized. Everything is impossible until someone does it. Then after someone does it, everyone else does it as a result. That is what I'm hoping to prove with my career as a manga artist. I've said a lot of outrageous things throughout my career that's attracted a lot of people, a lot of doubters, a lot of haters, and supporters. I love y'all. But once I started doing things that I saw no one else doing, suddenly everyone started doing it. It's not like it was impossible before. It's just no one has done it yet. So keep that in mind. If you have an idea of how to grow, of something that you want to post, something that you really, really feel called to, just go ahead and do that and stick with it. Because right after you do it and people see, okay, there's actually good feedback coming through this, people will copy you. You only need to do it one time. Do not give up. And to end off this video, I want to give you guys some actionable steps, just like the other videos. First things first is adding socials to your manga. Now, spoiler alert, for those of you who haven't read the submission rules for ManDIET mangaka, adding your social media to the manga is a requirement. Why is that? Because people are going to read through your manga, and if they really like you, they want to connect with you, they need a way to do so. You can do this by adding a watermark or by adding your social media to the last page of your manga, kind of like this. But just as long as you get something tied to your work so that if it gets published or someone else posts it somewhere else, like people do still steal these days, guys. And if you do not have a watermark of some kind or some way that people can track it back to you, your stuff can get stolen and there's almost nothing you can do about it. That's how the internet works. So make sure you add your social media to your manga or a form of contact, not your phone number, not anything personal. That's why I say social media. Next up, ask one person from any community to follow you, even me. Like I said before, if I like your content, If I like what you got, I will support you. I have no problem with that. I have no shame in supporting anyone that I'm genuinely interested in. You will get that support. Even if I'm not interested in you, I might still like something on your page that I'm like, oh, this is cool. It's not that deep to me, so you can ask me. Go ahead. My name's F.A. Nice to meet you. And the last actionable step for this video is to pick which day of the week you will upload. I'm not telling you even to upload on that day. Okay? Some people have more time on the weekends. Some people have more time in the weekdays, the mornings, whatever. The only step I want you to take is picking which day of the week you want to upload on. That is it. FA, but shouldn't I post? Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that would be a good idea. But do not feel pressured. All I want you to do is think and plan. Okay, if I was going to post consistently, I would do it on this day of the week at this time of day. That's all I need from you. Okay, get out there, guys. Post. Share yourself with other people. That's how you find your people. You're not gonna find it inside. If you're drawing and you're like, man, like, I don't really know how to improve, but no one's giving you that critique, giving you that eye, giving you that chance to just see. You might be more popular than you think, but you gotta get out, guys. You gotta share the wealth. You feel me? Like, some of y'all, I'll be looking at your art, I'm like, damn, bro, like, damn, wow, you don't got no social media? Like, why can't I just, I want to look at it, though. We're starving out here, guys. You got to share. You got to share the wealth with us, too, okay? So post consistently. Add social media to your manga. Ask someone to follow you, at least one person. That's guaranteed growth. Rinse and repeat. So easy, guys. Don't make this is so easy, man. This is so great. Like, I wish I had this course when I started my journey, because, man, this would have hit so good. But eventually, all good things come to an end. Next video, we will be talking about how to stay consistent with your manga without burning out. And that will wrap up this course. See you guys there. Welcome, guys, to the 7th and final video of this course. This is the 7th panel and the rest of the information needed to make a manga that people read and enjoy and continue to do that. Okay? So by the end of this video, you will know how to easily stay consistent with manga without burning out right now. So without further ado, let's get started. First thing I want you to do is head over to the quest page on the mangadiet.com. Okay? Go to quest, then go to home. And as you can see, there's a video here explaining what the quests are. It might be there, it might not be, depending on when you watch this video. But do your quest. The quests, I made them for you guys. Quest dailies, weeklies, and monthlies. They reset on time. They have new quests being added constantly. Like whenever I come up with something else that I think is a good quest for you to work on. Make sure you're doing these at the bare minimum. The dailies. As long as you're consistently getting them done, you'll gain more experience. And eventually, the leaderboards will show people ranked by experience. And by the time you're watching this video, it might already be out. So just make sure to check and see for yourself. But this is just a good way, I thought, for us all to keep each other accountable, for everyone to have something to strive for, is to have this quest page, okay? So hopefully you enjoy it. It's pretty self-explanatory. It works off of an honor system, so you can add and subtract whatever you want, and no one's going to judge you for it. But this is what I will say. If you just go through and click +1 on every single quest and get all the XP, and you rank high on the leaderboard when it comes out, if your work does not reflect that you have that much XP, you're just going to look bad. Like, I won't care personally. I'll just be like, okay, whatever. Because what's the point of increasing those stats for yourself if you're not actually there? You know what I'm saying? So definitely make sure to check this out and let me know what you guys think. This is the first and easiest way to stay consistent, just using the quest page. Next up, we have building consistency. I'm going to tell you guys 3 terms and I'm going to define them. These are terms that you've definitely heard before, but you probably don't know what they literally mean in practice, okay? The terms are discipline, motivation, and willpower. Discipline is when you do something even though you don't want to do it. Motivation is that you want to do something and then you do it. And willpower is you want to do something,
but you do not do it. Okay? So for you, it would be discipline. I don't feel like making manga today, but I do it anyways. Motivation. I feel like making manga today, I'm going to make it. Willpower. I feel like watching YouTube videos instead of making manga, but I'm going to make manga instead. These are all three things that you need to use if you want to stay consistent and not burn out. Okay? Discipline is the most important one because motivation, you probably heard it before, but it fades. You're not always going to feel like it. That is why you build discipline and you build habits, which leads to the next point, tracking your habits. This is an example of the habit tracker I have at the time of this video. It's very simple. Don't make it hard for yourself. All it is a tracker that keeps track of your progress, okay? I do this often, frequently, because it gives you data that you can look at and find patterns, okay? And if you're wondering, the green one that says Japanese characters, Bijin, that just means beautiful women. So I like drawing beautiful women. That's why it's on there so much. But just find a way to track, okay? If you want this specific tracker, let me know. I will put it in the resources section or in the Discord if people request it. I personally like making my own habit trackers. So if you are the same way, just go ahead and make one as simple as possible. Even something as simple as, did you draw today? Yes or no? And then the date. Then just go through and update it every single day. Anything that you keep track of, you will do more often. Okay, that's why people track their calories when they're trying to lose weight or gain weight. That's why people track their hours spent at work. Just think anything that you track, you do more of, okay? Because you're just going to have to look at that number at the end of the day and be like, damn, I haven't drawn for 3 days or something. And you're like, okay, I guess I'll do it today. So that's the importance of habit tracking, okay? Now let's talk about burnout. What is burnout? Burnout is doing one thing to the point of extreme fatigue and letting everything else in your life suffer. That is when you burn out. So I want you to look at this chart right here. This is what bad work-life balance looks like. Okay? Manga 100%. No family, no friends, no money, no women, no health, no Japanese, no school. Okay? Efe, this sounds kind of close to home. Is this? Yeah. This is what my work-life balance looks like at some points in my life. Genuinely. This is when I burned out. When I'm focusing too much on one thing without giving, like watering the other plants. You know what I'm saying? They need water too. This is an example of what good work-life balance looks like. Manga still takes up most of my time, most of my energy, but I'm still watering those other plants. I'm still dipping into other territories. This is realistic work-life balance, guys. I'm going to keep it 100 to you. If you thought it was 50-50, yeah, like half the time I'm going to do this, half the time I'm going to do this, you might not make it, bruh, if you're trying to get to a high level, genuinely. Because what's required to get from point A to point B is different from what it takes to get from point Y to point Z. Do you understand? And the amount of work that's required at the front for a lot of things, especially manga, requires you to put in a lot of effort at the front so that you can make increments to your skill later. So that's why my split pretty much looks like this for the most part, and yours might be similar. Some people might need a different split balance. Some people might need 30% manga, but like 50% family, friends. If that's what you value, put enough effort into those, but do not neglect the other ones. That is how you avoid burnout. Okay? Just do less of the thing that you're doing the most of and more of everything else. And usually rest will also help with that recovery. The next thing I want to show you is the pie chart of manga balance. Okay? Why do we need a pie chart for manga balance? What do we need to balance with manga? If you want to avoid burning out in manga, you must hit all three of these targets. Okay? Teaching manga, such as studying, critiquing, reviewing, just talking with other people about manga. Making manga, that's the drawing aspect. Then there's reading manga, just for fun, enjoyment. All three of these targets must be hit. It doesn't have to be hit equally, but they all have to be hit in order for you to not burn out. This is why you see a lot of people that make art turn into teachers. Because you cannot do 100% of one thing without burning out. Okay? So the easiest way is to just make sure you have all of these in your diet and your manga diet. You get it, guys? This is what it all was about. A manga diet. It's balanced in a way that is not balanced, but it is manga through and through, okay? Make sure you are getting all of your nutrients in. Make sure you are making manga, teaching, studying, reviewing, critiquing, whatever, reading. Hit all these targets and you will not burn out. It's just that simple. If you feel like, man, I've been drawing for a long time, I'm starting to hate it, starting to get these negative emotions towards making manga, just focus on reading. Just read. Do something else. Have fun. Okay? But just keep in mind, there are certain splits that you have to make in your charts if you want to reach certain goals. If your goal is to become serialized and published in a magazine and get a physical volume out, you're going to be looking more like this split, 70%, or if not more. Okay? And that is not a bad thing. Just make sure that you are watering the other plants. And guess what? You will not burn out. Last thing I wanted to touch on is our resources page. We've got plenty of things here for you guys to just go through at your own time. We're going to constantly be adding to and updating the entire website, not just the resources, but everything is going to continually be updated. So make sure you're constantly checking the mangadiet.com, staying tuned to updates in the Discord, connecting with us on all social media platforms. We've got a lot of things coming out. The merch is either coming soon or it's out by the time you see this video. And yeah, these resources will also help you just stay consistent, stay in the game, guys. I want you guys to stay in the game here with me. I love manga more than pretty much everything in my life. I said pretty much. Don't kill me. But I don't want to be on this journey alone if I don't have to. Okay? So the more stuff we can provide for you to keep you in the game, keep you alongside me, working towards our goals, towards enjoying manga, I want to do those things. So if you have anything that you want added to the website, I will review it with the team, think about it, and if it's good, we will add it for everyone's sake. Okay? So stay tuned in the Discord, stay up to date. And this pretty much wraps up this entire course, guys. So by now, you have gone through all 7 panels. Let's go. I just watched 7 FA videos. I just watched 7 videos by this dude, bruh. I clearly know a lot about manga. I clearly care. I clearly want to be here. Those are the types of things that probably you're thinking. Because I would not commit to 7 videos if I wasn't interested in what the video was about, okay? I sincerely thank you for making it to the end of this course. I'm very excited to see what you put out. Please check out ManDIET Mangaka on the share page when your manga is finished so that I can get more people to read your stuff, and let's just keep supporting each other, okay? Make sure you follow us on Instagram, share the website with people you know love manga so they can read your work, and let's just keep doing this, guys. Thank you guys so much. This course was made in January 2025. I'm saying that so you know what version it is. Look forward to updates in the future. Thank you guys so much. Again, I'm gonna just say, I know I make cringe remarks from time to time, but I'm just genuinely so happy that you guys decided to take this leap of faith with me. And I hope that I did not disappoint you. I hope that you know the ins and outs of manga. And that is the purpose of the Manga Diet. Thanks.
That wraps it up. If you finished this course and you're still wondering, what is ManDIET, or what is this membership he's talking about, then I highly recommend you check out this video where we break down everything that the platform has to offer. Leave a comment down below with which part of the course you found was useful so that we can use it to make better content in the future. I would do the same. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to having you. Bye. Manga that matters. Manga that matters. Manga that matters.